Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our show. I'm not going to call it a morning show because a show like this puts the world in world-class bullshitters, and we reach everyone from every corner of the globe. And if you think the world is flat, you're crazy. But welcome to everyone that's already in the chat. Welcome to everyone that's slowly piling in here. We got quite a few things to talk about this morning in terms of entertainment news. So make sure you guys have your questions ready because we have some good things to talk about. We have some bad things to talk about. And we're going to talk about the Fox-Disney merger first, once a few more people show up. So, how you guys doing? If anyone stuck around for our Batman 89 discussion last night, you know what kind of party it was. They super chatted me to take shots, so it helped me sleep really well last night. I'm not feeling it still, but I normally don't drink on a Wednesday night. Morning from the UK. Thank you, Peter. Isn't it like almost 1 o'clock there? Greece, France, we got people from all over the world. That's cool. Australia. Logan Michael, thank you. Already with a super chat. I just want a good Fantastic Four movie. I do too. I like the John Byrne run of Fantastic Four, and I really like the Kirby Lee run back in the 60s, obviously, the first run. I want a movie based off that. I want something fun and exciting, a little zany. It doesn't need to be about anything too socially today. You know, make it take place back in the 60s, Mad Men aesthetic. I know you've heard a lot of people talk about that, so do it that way. Or I thought it would be cool is at the end of Infinity War Part 2, after Thanos snaps his finger, something changes in reality and they get teleported back to Earth or some crap. You could write them into the MCU proper. That could be an interesting thing. I think you should always do a cast true to the comic book art. So you want an older Mr. Fantastic and probably like a 30-year-old Sue and a 25 or 24-year-old Johnny. And then Ben Grimm should be the Thing and he should be big. And I would like a real suit, a nice hybrid suit of animatronics, puppetry, and CGI. I'm not saying that I thought the Michael Chiklis suit was amazing, but it was better than the one in the Josh Trank movie. Has Disney ever sold an asset? I don't think so. But yeah, we'll get into the Disney stuff in a moment because I want to clear up some things. People just keep getting excited over Fox being purchased by Disney because of the MCU implications. But like I stated yesterday on our live stream about the Star Wars anthology film spin-offs being put on hold, one company holding so much power is never a good thing. So we just got to take that into account. It's not about seeing our favorite superheroes play together. It's going to be there's other implications in all of entertainment, the way streaming works, the way licensing will go, the way home video will go, all kinds of things. Disney, with this much control, can have the power to alter the way we consume media. And if it's not beneficial to us, but beneficial to their wallets, well, it's going to happen because they hold all the power. They hold the keys. Yeah, Lego Man Arthur, you're 100% right. You're 100% right about their agenda will spread out into all their IPs. I think that let's talk about this real quick before I read the article. The MCU with X-Men and the Fantastic Four showing up. The MCU is great the way it is. I'm dreading the Captain Marvel situation. I'll talk about that in my video next week. But I'm really happy with the way Deadpool is too. And I don't think Deadpool would fit in the MCU. And you sure as hell know that they're not going to allow it to remain the way it is. We're not going to see rated R Deadpool with sex jokes, and it's not going to be marketed that way. It's going to be much different because when 20th Century Fox is making Deadpool, they need something to go up against Avengers movies. And it goes to show you that Deadpool 2 was marketed quite well. They were able to make Deadpool relevant. They didn't have the budget to advertise the way that they did for the Avengers, but you saw Deadpool pop up in commercials with Celine Dion, Crave, macaroni thing, all kinds of stuff like that. You saw Deadpool pop up everywhere. It was really fun. It was really great, and they knew how to make Deadpool interesting because there was creativity behind it. I bet you if they make an MCU Deadpool movie, it's going to be PG-13. There's not going to be as much violence. They'll definitely cut back on any of the jokes, insinuating any kind of homosexuality, pansexuality, any of that stuff. Deadpool, those jokes are gone. The Deadpool you guys love on film so much will be a thing of the past if this goes down the way I think it's going to go down. The X-Men movies are probably going to get rebooted, and they're going to be very, very friendly to the people of the online journalism persuasion. Those movies are going to be used for 2018, 2019, 2020 race allegories. It's not going to be really a mutant kind story. And yeah, the original X-Men was an allegory for racism and all these other things and homosexuality, and that's good, but they were broader stories. They were done with tact. Nowadays, you're gonna really get some very blunt, on the nose X-Men stories. You bet they reboot the original trilogy. Well, excuse me. Now with Disney and Fox becoming one, Star Wars is now back at Disney 100% because Fox had the New Hope rights. So I'm betting to see with this, to best case scenario right now, to distract people from what's going to change down the road. We'll probably get the original Star Wars trilogy on Blu-ray. We're going to see the theatrical cuts get a 4K scan and all that stuff. So that's going to keep the hardcore old school fans very happy. So that's going to be good for them in the short term, but we might see a reboot of Star Wars down the road. You never know what's going to actually happen. People are talking about they're excited about the idea of the X-Men in the MCU, but with current year Disney at the helm, I'm dreading it. Yeah, I am too. Remember, folks, I'm not saying these things to be controversial, but look at where I'm coming from. We're coming off of an era where we had Logan and Deadpool 2 essentially back to back. I think there was an X-Men movie in there, Apocalypse, which wasn't very good, but overall we have those three. Apocalypse isn't even terrible. All of Days of Future Past. But my point is, we're coming off this post First Class era of X-Men films where Fox finally started to get stuff right to a degree. We're past the Brett Ratner X3. We're past X-Men Origins Wolverine. I mean, you can go back to The Wolverine, depending on your take on the film, and start back there as well with those solo movies. What I'm trying to get at in a roundabout way is we're finally getting the X-Men course corrected. People are very interested about this. And Tanae, thank you very much. You didn't get a notification when you were in bed waiting. Yeah, I've been hearing that a lot lately, that notifications aren't going out for us as well as other channels that aren't even related to the Star Wars movement the way we are. So just remember, folks, Tuesday through Friday, 7:45 Eastern Standard Time, we will go live. So if you guys figure out that time zone, just come back here Tuesday through Fridays. And as long as I don't oversleep, I'm going to be here for the show. You know what? I'm going to make sure I'm awake. Cesario Japan, thank you for your super chat. Walt Disney's Frozen head is rolling in its tomb. Oh, man. Yeah, Walt Disney. You guys should check out Razor Fist's video about Walt Disney. It's really, really interesting. I don't want to try to paraphrase it or bastardize his words, but he did this research. He put in the time. It's a great video, and it kind of shoots holes in a lot of these Walt Disney was a Nazi theories. So I think truth and accuracy is very important when discussing these things, and he has that in his video. Logan Michael, thank you very much, and good morning. The new Sarah Connor looks like a boy. Mackenzie, what's-her-face? Davis? I know who you're talking about. I watched a show called *Halt and Catch Fire*. She plays the same role in everything. She's the tall lesbian character. She's that in Black Mirror. The worst episode of Black Mirror is where she has the dream or the computer program implanted into her brain about her lover on a beach or something. That was the first episode of Black Mirror I think I turned off. I could put up with a lot of shit. And it has nothing to do with the lesbian undertones because that's fine with me. It's cool. I just didn't like the story. It was shitty. Now, *Halt and Catch Fire* is interesting, but she always plays the same, like, I'm conflicted. Here's something that's good in my life. Oh, I got to ruin it and screw it up and all this other shit. So she is a bad choice for Sarah Connor based on the shit I've seen. Did I hear about Deadpool 2 having to remove Disney jokes? I did hear about that. I don't know what the jokes were, if they were ever announced, but Fox knows. Let's talk more about Fox knowing, though. They knew what was going to go down. Whatever happened to the New Mutants movie that was supposed to have been out by now? It was supposed to come out in April, I believe. Or was it or was it February and X-Men was supposed to come out in April? We were supposed to have 2 X-Men movies. Like, take this into account, folks. There are 2 X-Men movies completely made, done, not out. Why? Because of this merger. Because there's probably going to be corporate meddling. There's going to be some kind of it has to fit certain ideals that Disney holds. Maybe the New Mutants was going to be this epic horror film set in the X-Men universe. People bitch about superhero fatigue and how everything's the same, but we're at a point where people are trying to branch out and do new things, and now Disney gobbles it all up, and we're getting the same homogenized crap that we were getting like a decade ago from the Fox movies. Doug, I don't think New Mutants is ever going to come out. And I'm being honest. I don't think we'll ever see that movie. Thank you, Dr. Coffin Nails. I appreciate it. No, we're gonna we're going backwards. Remember where we were in 2006 with X3 and how stupid and bloated that movie was, and how not even safe, just bland. The Juggernaut in that. I'm the Juggernaut, bitch. That's the joke. I get it that it came from the internet and I like it, but in modern day X movies, the Juggernaut rips Deadpool in half. We're never going to see that kind of shit again. Chuck Graham, thank you very much and good morning. Disney is still going ahead Roundhead? Yeah, they have not confirmed. Well, they talked about the article. In the article yesterday, I talked from Collider, of all places, that the Rian Johnson trilogy and the one from Benioff and Weiss from Game of Thrones, those are still going forward. And then the Jon Favreau stuff is never mentioned because Disney's plan for entertainment world domination starts with buying Fox, then their streaming service. I think they own a controlling share in Hulu now. So let's map it out like this. Real quick, Logan Michael, thank you for your super chat. What do I think of 03 Daredevil? I saw it in theaters. I own the director's cut on DVD. It's fine. It's one of those forgettable superhero films of the early thousands that wanted to be Spider-Man with its CGI, but it wasn't offensive because it came and went very quickly, and that's all you heard of it. There was no Daredevil game. Maybe there was one for the Game Boy Advance, but there was no Daredevil console game. There was not a big toy line. There was just the Daredevil figure that appeared in the Marvel Spider-Man Legends line. So Daredevil was in and out. Ben Affleck was fine. He's no Charlie Cox, and the fighting is way different, but it's not a bad movie. There are great 20th Century Fox Marvel films, and there are terrible ones. Like, the bottom of the barrel has to be Josh Trank's Fantastic Four film. And I guess the top of the mountain would be Logan or X-Men Days of Future Past, X2, depending on who you talk to. I'm a fan of all 3 of those films. I own them all on Blu-ray. I watch them regularly. They're great movies that I enjoy. Daredevil, right in the middle, above all the Fantastic Fours and some of the X-Men. So those are my thoughts on that movie. I watch it every other year. I don't really ever have the urge to. Daredevil, for me, on screen is epitomized by the Netflix series where they were willing to take risks and put him in an R-rated world. But what I was saying about the plan for Fox world domination through entertainment, or Disney world domination through entertainment, is they now own a controlling share. If this goes through, we have to talk about that part, but if this goes through, it will be they'll own a controlling share in Hulu. Now, like I said, a big company like this owning a controlling share in anything is not good. First off, they will continue to pick what we're able to see. Now, will there be financial options or choices? Of course. It'll be like what they'll probably raise licensing fees or lower licensing fees, meaning you're going to get a flood of stuff that like a Netflix, you know, you can get lower end stuff on there, or Amazon Prime, you can pay to get your movies on there. With Hulu, you're not going to get that. You're also probably going to get less of questionable content, aka stuff for adults. I wouldn't be surprised if some of the original series jump ship or are altered. You won't see the. I'm not saying you're going to see a kids' entertainment streaming service from Disney, but don't be surprised if they're going to sell you the new Hulu with stuff like Disney Channel original movies, Johnny Tsunami, and My Date with the President's Daughter, which is fun, and not House Guest, Sinbad movie, First Kid, stuff like that. You're going to get that for the people our age, for the nostalgia. They're going to definitely pump into the Pixar stuff. They're going to market that. Oh, there's a new Star Wars series, this and that. And after a while, it's just going to be their entertainment cycling through. The Framinator, cool name. Thank you and good morning. I've been pissed with Disney Star Wars for a long time. Thank you for expressing a big fan's opinions. Well, thank you, the Framinator, for telling us that. I appreciate that. I've been pissed with Disney Star Wars the whole time. You know what? It's not about being pissed for me in the beginning. I was cautious because in 2012, I thought to myself, oh man, this is going to be great. It can't be worse than the prequels. Well, I'm fucking wrong. All joking aside, though, when I saw that trailer with Finn and stuff, I just got this bad feeling. Not to try to be funny and quote Star Wars, but I had a bad feeling about it. Something felt off. And I'm getting that same feeling with Disney purchasing Fox. We have to take into account, too, that when Disney purchased Marvel in 2009, we had the MCU already existing. 2 movies had come out. Iron Man 2 was almost done because remember, I think it was August of 2009 when they announced the acquisition of Disney, and that movie was out in May of 2010, and Thor would have been out later. Was Thor 2011? Yeah, Thor was 2011, so was Captain America. My point is, the MCU and the build-up to the Avengers was already pretty much done or almost there, so you couldn't really derail that, and they kept going forward because it was a successful thing. So that's why I wasn't too concerned about that. Now, on the comic book front, they have taken a nosedive. They don't care about what happens. I feel like if Disney, or if Marvel was its own separate entity, the comic books would not be the garbage they are now. Because like EVS says, they're a loss leader. Well, when you're a comic book company and all you do is print comic books and you sell licenses, but you still need the comic books to be successful, you're going to do everything you can to keep people happy. Remember, folks, Disney has allowed Marvel to ruin itself. Think of those things when I talk about Disney Star Wars or Disney buying Fox. Just think of how the comic book end of Marvel went down. Thank you again to the Framinator. Logan Michael, thank you very much. Netflix Blade? I'd watch it. It's got to be better than Spike TV's Blade, which was a fucking terrible show. And if you were alive back then, you probably thought it sucked too, because Blade was still a trilogy of films, yet they didn't have Wesley Snipes. I don't like when you have a different actor play a character on TV and a different actor play that same character in the movies. Grant Gustin should have been in the Justice League film. It shouldn't have been Ezra Scott. There's Ezra Miller. Ezra Miller. I know somebody named Ezra Scott. Point is, it should have been the guy from TV. You know, cross that shit over. Build that universe. If they ever make if you're going to have the Punisher appear in a Marvel movie, it's got to be John Bernthal. If you're going to have Spider-Man appear on TV, it's got to be Tom Holland. You got to just synergy. You got to tie all this shit together and build a universe that way. But I'd watch a Netflix Blade series in a heartbeat. Mopey Hornet, thank you very much. How is the federal government not going to go after them for a monopoly? Now let's start talking about that. I think that is the last hope for this merger to fall apart. Now, I don't really get political on this channel. I don't really care to. And I'm really not this pro-government involvement with everything. I just, you know, sometimes stuff works, sometimes stuff doesn't. I don't think this is a good idea. I really do hope that the government breaks this up. Now, if you notice that Fox, basically Disney's purchasing the assets of Fox. So the TV stuff like Fox News and Fox Sports is going to be its own separate entity. I think that's going to be called New Fox. And then there's going to be 21st Century Fox, which is going to be the movies and the old stuff like that. So I think that's how they're going to circumvent the whole government intervention. maybe they're too slick for their own good, and some judge is going to see it and it's going to not go through. I hope that judge listens to this show and looks up the facts and the statistics and the definitions of what a monopoly would be. And if Disney is falling inside the lines of what would be considered dangerous, then they stop them. It's always better when there's more competition in terms of an entertaining product, because people are always trying to make themselves stand out. Look at look at the show with Conan O'Brien, whatever his is, Tonight with Conan O'Brien. It's on TBS. It still gets celebrities, but it doesn't have the reach that Jimmy Kimmel Live gets. Jimmy Kimmel Live is the most boring piece of shit. It's basically one big Disney commercial. I think in the world that Disney's trying to create of entertainment, you're going to see all shows like that. Like a Jimmy Kimmel is the perfect example. It's stupid, it's boring, it's safe, it spouts off certain political views, and it's not really that funny. It doesn't have any running gags that I consider like comedic gold. Conan O'Brien, on the other hand, was never at the tippity top and always had to do shit to stay funny and relevant. In the year 2000, that was a great skit. I think Triumph the Insult Comic Dog popped up on there. It was, Conan O'Brien was a genius guy. He was a writer. He worked on The Simpsons, SNL, all kinds of great stuff. And he was able to keep himself relevant because of always working at stuff. Now, yeah, he does get into some quasi-political crap too, which I don't like. And I'm not going to even give him a pass for it. But he still pulls out the humor and doesn't feel like a big commercial like Jimmy Kimmel does. Jimmy Kimmel is the Disney frontman. And same thing with that guy that was on ESPN that made a joke about the booty. He had to apologize because he said he represented the Walt Disney Corporation. Well, there you go. They represent the Walt Disney Corporation. I mean, I get that you're supposed to make a good public impression of whatever company you work for. But I mean, it's going to be kind of scary. They're going to be policing their social media. Here's the funny thing, though. They're not going to police the social media of the people that do like outsourced work for them that agree with certain beliefs. It's not going to be that. It's going to be, it's just like I just keep saying this and I keep reiterating. I hope people go out and tell people this. Read the articles, do your research, form your opinion, but just listen to me when I say too much power held by anyone is not a good thing. I mean, if anything you like, if they were the only game in town, they'd get lazy and they would just, do the bare minimum to keep people around. And when people left, they'd go, well, we're the only game. So, they could be antagonistic towards you. They could do these terrible things, have these shitty practices. It's just not awesome. I mean, Coke needs Pepsi. WCW WWF needed the WCW. Marvel needs DC. Or needed DC when they were both just publishing houses. I mean, competition is good. It always brings out the best. And you know who wins? Us, the fans. And if you like Coke or Pepsi, Marvel or DC, any of the other Skyline or Gold Star, depending on what your choice is, you win as a consumer because you can get the thing you like and it's always getting better or they're trying to make it better. So, Zaire, thank you very much and good morning. Within the same week, California reps eviscerated a bill that would have enforced net neutrality. Oh, they did, huh? All I know there is this week they're trying to put that diversity bill onto movie sets. It's gonna. The funny thing is, California is gonna really fuck itself into a position of submission. That's not the right word. Basically, California is gonna make itself uninteresting or undesirable to go there. And I'm not saying to live there because people like the weather and stuff like that, but Atlanta is where it's at in terms of making movies. And with that kind of bill, that's going to be bad for them because you're forcing certain things. You're hampering people's creativity. And it all seems like a big plan. And California is like at the center of it. Well, I mean, our entertainment, if the net neutrality thing goes down the way they want it to or doesn't go down the way we want it to, it'd be funny if you had to pay more to access Netflix and other things, but your access to Hulu/Disney was, whatever. Would that be the business model they take where they make, you still pay for their service and you get it in with your internet package, and Netflix is more and people don't want to pay more. So Netflix gets, brushed aside. I think a lot of people would say, oh, Disney will hide behind the paywall and do more and cost more to get. I think they'll make themselves easier to get, more people will buy it and make it harder for the other ones. So I don't like the world we're living in right now in terms of entertainment. Like I said, I don't get into politics. I'm not going to talk about Space Force or any of that stuff. You guys can talk about that all you want, but when it comes to entertainment, we're just living in a really, really bad time. Yeah, power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. I agree 100% with that statement. Disney is going to become greedier and greedier, gobbling up any and all companies to be top dog. Well, they're already the top dog, but they're going to start buying up stuff left and right, and more stuff left and right. I mean, they bought the two biggest properties that they didn't own: Star Wars and Marvel. One turned out well, one did not. I mean, I'm sure people would argue online how great this is, and we're living in this Renaissance era where this and this can happen, but we're not. We gotta just see where we're gonna go before we get um, too excited. And you're gonna say, "Well, you have to wait till wait to see where we go before we get too angry." I understand that logic, but we have other frames of reference to what happens when Disney eats up another company. And here's some news that I'm going to talk about later in another video, but it came out that Disney is the one that pushed Lucasfilm to release Solo, a Star Wars story, in May. Lucasfilm wanted to push it back to December, but they forced it, and look what happened. Downforward Punch, thank you and good morning. Stephen A. Smith had to apologize for the booty joke, but Disney allows Lucasfilm employees to insult customers. Double standards much? Yes, it is a double standard. There's, anything pertaining to sex is bad, but anything pertaining to their ideologies is good. No matter how vile you want to deliver that message, if it falls in line with the corporate politics or whatever behind the scenes is going on, you can do it. If it involved kicking a puppy, and because the puppy was whatever, owned by a Trump supporter or whatever the people are against, it was owned by a white guy, you would definitely see like, oh, we don't condone this, but we'll look into the investigation, and then the person will have their job indefinitely. It's a stupid time. That's why I think Disney should be scared of smaller media outlets and smaller entertainment brands and just people, like smaller businesses out there that want to make entertainment, because we live in a world where a movie camera is obtainable. Like, even if somebody works a basic job above minimum wage and let's say you make $500 a week, if you saved for a couple of months, you could afford a movie, like a $2,000 or $3,000 camera. And if you have the passion, you can make your entertainment yourself. Thanks to Disney can't buy up these technology companies and change that because they're bigger than them. But we're living in a time increasing where you can make a movie out of your phone in your pocket. So Disney can buy up all this shit, but there is that chance, the big chance. It's like that flaw, the porthole in the Death Star, the exhaust port. It's only 2 meters wide, but that 2 meters can lead to the implosion of something much bigger. So if you're somebody out there that has interest in creating your own entertainment, pursue that now. Now's the right time before it's too late and oversaturated. And if you're somebody that likes to support the little guy, make sure you do support the little guy, because if it's good quality entertainment, people will find it and it will grow. I'm not saying I love this movie, but look at the Blair Witch Project. I mean, that's still something we're talking about 20 years later, and that was a small budget film. I think it had the highest ratio from budget to box office gross. It was in the Guinness Book of World Records for a while. But yeah, Downward Punch, it is a double standard. Zorant Zero, thank you, and good morning to you too. I hope Disney doesn't end up buying everything. My mind about seeing Captain Marvel is starting to change with the acts of its actress. I've been getting a lot of pushback. Why are you hating on Captain Marvel? You're not even giving the movie a chance. At least I'm not alone in seeing the douchey crap she does turns me off. What? I'm trying to think of other MC. I think Mark Ruffalo does some stuff that people dislike, but I don't see it as widely reported. And I don't really care about Mark Ruffalo enough to go out and find it, but this Brie Larson stuff finds me. These comic book websites are promoting it as like her shit attitude as a good thing. Like, oh, I don't hate white dudes, but blah, blah, blah. It's like, lady, I don't care if you preface it with I don't hate white dudes. You're coming off as just a shithead, flat out. And all the critics of color aren't going to save shitty movies like Ocean's 8's reputation. Let's get over that. We got to stop acting like critics of color are going to make bad movies acceptable. Bad movies don't find a way. People will see them, word of mouth travels. Your average moviegoer isn't going to go, "Oh, it was a great movie. If it was all men, I'd love it even more." Or if they saw it, they have their own take on it. But Brie Larson's attitude is just so abrasive, and like when I watch Iron Man on screen, I'm entertained by Iron Man, but in the back of my mind, I'm thinking to myself, good for Robert Downey Jr. Like Dion said on the podcast once, he was a punchline. Robert Downey Jr. was the joke on late night TV. He was doing drugs and alleyways and all this shit, going to jail, probably sexually assaulted by dudes. If you ever watch a movie called Less Than Zero, it's really bizarre how prophetic that movie is, because that came out in '88, and Robert Downey Jr.'s life was in the toilet a couple years later, and it mimicked that film greatly. So when I watch something like Iron Man, I enjoy a good comeback story, and seeing how if somebody works to conquer their demons, they can come back and be on top of the world. And it seems like Robert Downey Jr.'s done some good shit in the meantime. Brie Larson just seems like a spoiled, entitled brat, and I don't want her to, I don't want to see her do these things because I don't feel like she worked for it. Another super chat from Mike Hunt. I'm not racist, but white people. Yeah, that's a big but, to reference Pee Wee Herman. Voice of Reason. Yeah, all the Marvel movies will be under one house, which is good, I guess. But we got to see, what that means for what we're currently getting. Because even if this doesn't happen, we're still getting SJW Captain Marvel in the next couple of months. Was it March? So 9 months away. 9 months until the end of the MCU. So folks, enjoy Ant-Man and the Wasp, the last film of the MCU proper, before we get into this garbage dumpster fire that is going to be Captain Marvel. Oh, Scarlett Johansson and Gwyneth Paltrow as well, in terms of their it's funny. Yeah, I'm sure. Well, Gwyneth Paltrow's unlikable as shit, but she's not the lead actress in any movie, and they've written her out of movies, and she's in Infinity War for about 2 minutes. She's not even in Age of Ultron, so you can get rid of her, and she doesn't really dictate the flow of the story. Like Iron Man and the rest of the Avengers don't all of a sudden listen to Pepper Potts and go, "Yes, ma'am," and all this other shit. I wouldn't be surprised if we have Captain Marvel beat up the Hulk to prove dominance or something stupid like that. I mean, that's what we're getting ready to see. Jesus. I'm going to get to the super chat in just 1 second, but Chocolate Baby Chibi, wow, I can't speak. Good morning to myself. Did you hear they double featured Incredibles 2 with Wrinkle in Time? So Wrinkle in Time could make $100 million US. You talk about some bullshit right there. Oh, man. Is that real? That is bullshit. I can't believe that's actually happening, or they actually did that. What? Kind of lame. That's just going to go further to their agenda. Like, oh my God, it did this. Now, by the same accord, they re-released The Dark Knight in theaters around Oscar season, and that helped it cross into $1 billion. But that was a widely loved movie that broke records as well as critical acclaim and all that stuff. A Wrinkle in Time just didn't find an audience. And here's the thing, too. You could buy a ticket to The Incredibles 2, and then when A Wrinkle in Time shows up, you could leave, but they still get their money, and that counts as a win for that. So that's some dirty pool, but it works. Fuck them. That's the type of shit we're going to see, because then they can justify Ava DuVernay doing like a Marvel movie outside of New Gods from DC. We're going to see her get all kinds of shit. Oh, this movie made $100 million. It did this, it did that. And then people like us are going to go, but it was lumped with this movie and that movie, and people aren't going to care. They're just going to say, oh, well, it made this money. You guys are a bunch of racists. Cavalier 1645, thank you for your generous super chat. The owners of Fox, the Murdochs, are about to make billions. They care a few million to get politicians to let the purchase go through. Love world-class bullshitters and all hail thud. Yeah, that makes sense. You grease a couple palms, you do the right things, and you'll make billions of dollars. I mean, I'm not saying Fox is this innocent entity in all this. Oh man, it's just dark. Holy shit. Wow. Getting them flowing in here. Reed Polantia, thank you very much. Do you think people will move on? You think people will move more to social media for their entertainment? After all, if Disney can dictate terms of movie theaters and the public keeps going looking for satisfying stories, something would need to change. Social media. Do you consider YouTube social media? Because if you do, yeah, I could see them moving to that. I think Disney wants people to stop going to theaters so they can stop paying, so they can get all the profits from their movie. Because remember, I think it's the first weekend they get a big chunk, and then as each weekend subsequently, the fee goes down. I think Disney wants people to stop going to theaters completely, so you can basically see the next big release in the comfort of your own home for your $39.99 monthly service charge of the Disney streaming service, and they'll get all the money. There will be no other revenue losses based on a theater chain. It'll be, AMC doesn't get a cut. So and so doesn't get a cut. Just straight up Disney. That's why when a studio like the Star Wars: The Last Jedi thing, Disney had to know that this was going to be their last hurrah in terms of the power. So they milked people for all they could, and people, I mean the theater chains. They milked them for all that stuff, and then they get away from that business model. They move into the next one where they own it all. So I can't really fault Disney for being smart on how to make money. I think they're shitty for their practices. It works, but other studios could capitalize on the fact that, a theater-going experience is something you can't get elsewhere. And no matter how great your TV is or how awesome your surround sound system or your sound bar is, you're not going to get that experience because I've said this on the show many times. The best theater-going experience I've ever had was for the first Avengers. Not because I just loved the movie, but because the energy in the theater was phenomenal. And I'm not, in my opinion, I'm not overstating that. Joel and I went, we did the entire MCU marathon. So that would have been 5 films. Yeah, that would have been 5 films with the Avengers in the 6th, Iron Man's 1 and 2, Thor, so 6 movies in that day. Fantastic time. The energy was high. People were laughing. I mean, the whole puny god line, I didn't even hear that the first time I saw the movie. We were all cracking up so much. I mean, listen to me talk about that experience. I'm pumped. The same thing with Infinity War. Infinity War was a good experience. It wasn't the same as the first Avengers, but when people come together that have similar interests in entertainment and you're all blown away by it, it's something you remember. I mean, that was 6 years ago for the first Avengers, and I still can remember it like it was yesterday. It was a great experience. I can't think of any movie I've ever watched on Blu-ray or DVD or videotape where I was like, holy shit, this is great. I fell in love with Star Wars, but I have seen Star Wars: A New Hope in theaters, so I've had that experience too. Disney thinks they're making, they're playing their 4D chess and doing all these things, but another studio could come in like a Universal, and they could really play up on people's, not even necessarily nostalgia, but the way things have been done and make it a much better experience. And, really stick it to Disney. It's going to be, they have that ability. I don't know if they will. I think everyone's just going to try to follow suit and make movie theaters obsolete, which is sad because it's been a worldwide institution. The cinema is, it's a great thing. And hopefully without the movie theater chains, smaller movies will still get a chance to play. I know they get available, or they have a chance or a life on Netflix, but they don't get the same exposure. Like, ask yourself this question. How often do you see some of the smaller stuff appear on Netflix? On your trending now, you see Thor Ragnarok, you see all kinds of Disney stuff in a lot of Netflix original series. So, I don't know. I do know. It's interesting, maybe not in a positive way. Panda says, I live in Dayton. Did you buy up all our Rose Ticos? I'm not finding as many now. I did not buy a single Rose Tico, Panda. By the way, is that you with Carrie Fisher in your icon? Cool. If you go back and watch my Star Wars Toys for $1 video, I picked up some Rose Ticos there because they're $1 and you never know what you're going to do with them. But I did not purchase any on that day. On the day that I filmed that video, the only thing I purchased was a Legend of Zelda Monopoly and a Super Mario Brothers Monopoly because they were $14.99 a piece, and I collect Monopoly boards, so there's something you didn't know about me. Logan Michael, thank you very much. Rose Tico is more annoying than the splash of water that comes up on your butt when you take a dump. Yeah, because it doesn't talk to you. It just, it makes a mess and you're done. Let's see here. I want to make sure I don't forget anybody. Paul McBride, thank you very much and good morning. Why can't Captain Marvel be like Wonder Woman? Didn't hear Gal or Patty blaming men for anything. Paul, you win an award you win the Common Sense Award. It would make sense for Brie Larson to keep her mouth shut, stop being so angry towards people, and just get this movie made and let people see it firsthand and be wrong, prove me wrong. But all you're going to do is keep shitting on us and making us angry. You don't look at, like they say, I think it's diversity in comics, so being the customers, not the fans. Don't antagonize your customer base. It's not smart business. I mean, Solo was a flop for many reasons. One of them is, Disney and Lucasfilm talks down to their audience. You can't discount the fact that people want to be respected and cared for and loved to a smaller degree. I'm not going to use love as like, love for your customers type of thing, but people want to be respected. And if you feel like a valued, respected customer, you will go back because you feel good. When you go to a store to buy something, and you're like, thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. We really appreciate your business. And the person's very good. You're like, I'm going to go back. I know the lady at the cologne counter was great. And I went back and bought the cologne because she gave great customer service. Captain Marvel and Marvel proper just need to stop putting out this PR shit about first woman this, first woman that. I don't dislike white men, but we got to do this. Brie Larson needs to keep her damn mouth shut. There really needs to be a thing on these people's contracts when they make these movies, like, just shut up. Make the movie, go on a vacation or something. We'll pay for it. Just shut up. Stay off social media. Don't do this. Don't do that. Because social media has allowed us to understand or learn how stupid celebrities truly are. I mean, when you lived in an era where it was the glitz and glamour of Hollywood back in the day, and you would just see pictures of Marilyn Monroe, you didn't know what she was actually doing. If Marilyn Monroe had Twitter, everyone would know who was in her. Reed Palancia. That's how you say it, right? Palancia or Palantia? I apologize. I'm sorry. It's early here. Disney is supposedly removing themselves from Netflix and moving things to their own channel, sort of how CBS went with Star Trek Discovery, or STD for short. Yes, I'm guessing that what Disney's going to do is they're going to remove all their stuff from Netflix. It's going to appear on Hulu, and Hulu's going to be rebranded as this Disney streaming service. It'd be smart if they didn't actually call it the Disney service and they just announced like that, because I've had Hulu for a long time. I like Hulu, but I'm gravitating towards Amazon Prime. I think for me in streaming, the stuff I'm liking is not the original content. I'm just liking a backlog of stuff that you can't get on DVD. For example, before I recorded our Batman commentary last night, I was watching Beyond Belief Fact or Fiction. That's just how you get me hooked on these streaming services. When I signed up for Netflix 8 years ago, it's because they had Spider-Man, the cartoon, and I was like, I could watch Spider-Man and X-Men again. I'm sold. The Spider-Man show doesn't exist on DVD, so stuff like that is what gets me. But they're definitely going to take up all their properties and hide it behind a paywall. Don't think anything's going to be different at all. And this is what the people wanted on the internet. So I can't wait to see articles from comic book resources and shit like that where they bitch about, oh, everything's so expensive, we can't do this, we can't do that because of the, whatever. You guys did it because you championed for the MCU to have the X-Men and Fantastic Four. Cesario Japan, blame EVS for the Rose Tico shortage. Oh yeah, you can blame EVS for a lot of things. The Dust Bowl famine of the 30s or 40s, the Rose Tico shortage of the 2017-18 Star Wars season. Yeah, blame EVS for all of it. Tanae, thank you very much. I haven't seen The Last Jedi, so I only know these bad characters by name. Tanae, thank you for all you've done for the channel, but let me do you one better. Never watch the movie, ever, even if there's a fire. Go to bed every night knowing that you won't have to watch Luke Skywalker bastardized. Go to bed every night knowing that you don't have to watch Admiral Holdo be a purple-haired idiot. Watch Poe Dameron be emasculated. Watch the Millennium Falcon. Basically, watch Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Watch Empire in reverse and Jedi going forward, and watch them at the same time you've seen The Last Jedi. If that sounds confusing, that's because The Last Jedi is confusing. So don't ever get... don't ever watch it, man. Just don't do it. The Pui, thank you. Hey, I'm in Cleveland right now. Great to hear you at a normal time, being from California. I'm hoping you're enjoying Cleveland. Cleveland is, I don't know. Cincinnati's far from Cleveland. I've only been there a couple times. But I'm glad you're with us early in the morning, on the Eastern Standard Time. I know this would be 5:30 in the morning in California. I don't expect a lot of people to be up at 5:30 listening to the show, but if they are, awesome. And I hope you're in Cleveland for good reasons. Maybe you're visiting family, or are you going to go to? I know Sandusky has Cedar Point, so are you going to go over to Sandusky? I don't know. Let me know, the Pui. Kintar 027760 Ratnick. Couldn't Fox make new movies/shows after the deal? Yes, I'm pretty sure they could. I don't think it's going to keep them from producing new content, but what I think they're basically going to milk nostalgia. Like, you remember, you guys know how there's that Lethal Weapon show on Fox? There's probably going to be a Die Hard procedural. There's probably going to be I'm interested to see what happens with Predator. If this is going to affect Shane Black's Predator film, we'll see. Disney doesn't do R-rated stuff, and I know Disney has other like Touchstone and Hollywood Pictures and stuff like that. But what have they put out recently? I mean, a lot of the bigger. Or who owns John Wick? Does Fox own John Wick? Because I'm about to shit my pants if John Wick is owned by Fox, because that's gonna suck. John Wick is. Let's see. I don't know how Wikipedia doesn't have this on here, or how I'm missing it. I guess because, I just don't want. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But they could make new shows. They could definitely make new shows. They probably will make new shows. We'll probably play up to the fans a little bit, like, hey, in this Die Hard show, blah blah blah, and then Lucy McLean's the hero, stuff like that. It's going to be original shit in name only. Let's see. Who flung poo? Thank you and good morning. A little early to drop a deuce, but good morning. Well, good morning to you, and thank you very much for your deuce. Logan Michael, this is the saddest super chat I've ever had to read on the show. Today is my last trip to Toys R Us. I saw the company man put out a video about that. My last trip to Toys R Us was the one that I filmed in the most recent video. I'm still kind of sad about Toys R Us. I know you're thinking, oh, you're 29, get over it. I get it, but Toys R Us was such a fun place. I know the guy on our show last night worked there and hated it, but from a consumer standpoint, I've never had a bad experience at Toys R Us. Being a kid, I always found the stuff I was looking for. As an adult, it was still fun to go in, look at what's new, relive the past, pick up some shit I don't need. Do I need a Mezco Batmobile from 1989 Batman? No, but I wanted it and I had it. Did I need to pick up, the Netflix series Punisher and Daredevil? No, but it was fun. And I usually don't talk about the next generation of kids and all the time, but if you had a good time at Toys R Us, imagine what the next generation would be. Dion has kids, or a kid, and he watches his nephew, and they go to Toys R Us, and they know how much fun it is, too. It's just a part of life. That's really what it is for me and a lot of people. Is Toys R Us and toy stores in general are a part of life. Christmas time, you'll see Walmart up their toy thing. It'll be interesting to see how toy sales suffer because there's not that retail outlet from Toys R Us. I mean, Toys R Us had all kinds of stuff that Walmart and Target don't carry. And around me, your other options for toys, and a large number would be Walmart, Target, and my Walmart and Target are shitty. And then there's a Meijer. And if you don't know what Meijer is, Meier's a big grocery chain out of Michigan, and they're half retail, half grocery. So Meijer may have it. But the thing is, Toys R Us by me was the first place to go. Walmart and Target and all these other places are out of the way. It's confusing. So Logan Michael, if you're a member of our Facebook page, snap a few pictures of your last Toys R Us visit. Just post it up there. I'd appreciate it. It's always good to see Toys R Us one last time. Somebody said, I remember Australia, we have World for Kids, and that shut down, but we had Toys R Us, and now that's closing too. Okay, and by the way, thank you, Scotty. For John Wick is owned by Summit Entertainment and is a subsidiary of Lionsgate. Okay, cool. But the Toys R Us thing, we all have great memories. I'd like to do a stream one morning where we talk about our favorite Toys R Us memories, favorite toy memories as kids, just a fun remembrance of where we were at that point in life. I always remember my mom when she was off work, she'd take me to Toys R Us and Chuck E. Cheese. I could play whatever I wanted at Chuck E. Cheese and get what I wanted at Toys R Us. I was a very spoiled only child, but It was cool, and I had a lot of fun as a little kid. And I look back on those times pleasantly. EVS started World War One. No bullshit reviews. Yeah, I remember KB Toys. KB Toys was in all of our local malls here in Cincinnati. KB Toys was more expensive than Toys R Us. For example, if my mom and I were out at the mall and I saw, I don't know, some toy at KB, my mom would say, I'll buy it for you at Toys R Us. And I think every time they had it at Toys R Us, like I'm not remembering that just to make the story sound cooler. I remember, for example, my aunt took me to the mall, and KB, here's something. KB had the second wave of Power Ranger Zords, because on the show they still had the Megazords, and my aunt took me to KB, and they had the Red Dragon Thunder Zord out, and it was not on TV yet. And I told my mom about it, and then she took me to Toys R Us that night, and they had it, and I had that toy before it ever appeared on TV. So another great Toys R Us memory. I think I even picked up my first Buzz Lightyear there. That was a lot of fun. Will they keep the Dark Phoenix movie for Fox? I think it's probably going to get shelved. I'm not trying to take a hard stance to talk on the show like this, but I honestly think that it's going to be shelved along with New Mutants. And Jeremy Peerboom, I'm sorry you worked at Toys R Us and had your mixed feelings. Reed Palancia, I had more fun with the boxes of the toys the toys were packed in. Not me. I still have all my old boxes, but when I picked up a toy, I ripped that shit open and played with it right away in the car. And my mom was like, don't take out the small parts, you'll lose them. But, that's cool. It worked. That's why I have all the small parts for shit nowadays. I do remember the tickets you had to use at Toys R Us to get your video games. Oh my God, I remember. Those were a lot of fun. I know it was inconvenient for a lot of people, but you'd go down this row and it would just have little things, and you'd pull out your ticket, and if you didn't have the ticket, the game was sold out. I remember getting Super Nintendo would have been my first system of my own and picking out games that way. But I remember going for the Nintendo 64 20 years ago. Ooh, I feel old. And day after Christmas, 1998, I remember going down the lane real quick to pick up a ticket for GoldenEye and a ticket for Mission Impossible and a couple other accessories. Because Christmas 98, I returned every gift I got to make sure I had money to get my Nintendo 64 accessories and games. Logan Michael, thank you. My favorite memory from Toys R Us was when my dad took me there when I was little, and he bought me a vintage collection X-Wing. Now, you mean like the actual vintage X-Wing from 1978 on, because yeah, your dad didn't take you to go buy the one from like 2 years ago. Maybe he did, but no. I didn't get an X-Wing from Toys R Us. I was given that as a Christmas gift. But Star Wars and Toys R Us go hand in hand for me too. I'm just thinking about all the Star Wars crap I bought from Toys R Us. That was a lot. But thank you for that. Yeah, like I said, the mall. You're right. The mall rent is expensive. That's why KB was more expensive. But KB also had really good clearance. Speaking of Star Wars, when Episode 2 was out, they had buy one get one free figures from the. I guess it was it the Legacy Collection back then, or the Saga, whatever the 2002 toy line in the blue box was, and it was a mix of Episode 2 and original trilogy figures. And I picked up Luke with the removable magnetic hand, as well as Vader with the magnetic hand, and all that stuff. And that's one of my last Toys or KB Toys memories, because they closed in the early 2000s here. Square Geek, cool name. Think we'll get a Gambit movie? No, I think we'll never get a Gambit movie. Sadly, the Channing Tatum thing is not happening. I mean, they keep teasing it. It's going to happen. It's not going to happen. We had Gambit and X-Men Origins Wolverine. What was that guy's name? Taylor Kitsch. That guy kind of sucked. I don't know if I want to see a Gambit. Personally, I would watch a Gambit movie if they did the Thieves thing down in New Orleans. The one where he has to take the tribute and, the Thieves Guild and all that shit in his brother and get forced to marry the woman like they did in the cartoon and the comic book. That'd be kind of cool. But if Disney wants to prove me wrong with their purchase of Fox, I want to see an X-Men movie based on the Jim Lee era of X-Men. Yeah, I want Hugh Jackman back, but I want those costumes represented on film. Fucking rip the theme song from the cartoon. Give us action, make it cool. Give us a really unique score, and go from there. No more black leather. No more of that John, what's his name, that Ottman score. Just give us something different and new. Bring back the synth. Get Ron Wasserman to do it. But Wow, these are rolling in. Thank you guys so much. Cesario, Japan. Anyone remember that Nickelodeon Super Toys Run? I do. I watched that all the time on TV. That was one of my dreams as a kid. I would imagine like running down the lanes and picking up whatever I wanted. I would have picked up multiple PlayStations and shit like that. I don't know why, but as a kid, I thought it would have been cool to have a PlayStation upstairs and downstairs. But you know, that's the 90s for you. The Pui. Oddly, I'm in North Olmsted for business. My last Toys R Us visit will be here. All the ones in California are closed in my area. Huh. Well, I hope your business goes smoothly and enjoy your Toys R Us excursion. Like I said, guys, if you go to a Toys R Us, put the photos on our Facebook page. I'd love to see them one last time. Who Flung Poo got first ever wireless controller from Toys R Us. Hashtag Atari. Was that the one with the antenna on it? Because Atari was before my time. I've never owned an Atari or known anyone that owned an Atari. I've played an Atari briefly at places, but I'm Nintendo through and through, even though I like PlayStation the best currently. Logan Michael, do I have a store? Like to sell merchandise? I have an Etsy store. If you look up Incarnate Studios, you can check that out. We have a store that sells some shirts. I'm going to launch, I already bought worldclassbullshitters.com, and I'm going to launch that over the summer, and we're going to have all kinds of merchandise. And unlike Ethan and Jeremy, I purchase the equipment to make it myself. So you guys are going to get handmade stuff from us. Not saying the other places aren't good, but what I'm saying is I'm going to be making it by hand for you guys, and it's going to be like I'm going to get the best shirt quality and stuff like that. Because I looked into like importing shirts from China. It looks a little cheapy, but I know a lot of local suppliers, and I just want to put out like really cool World Class Bullshitters merchandise. So Logan Michael, you'll be the first person to know when I get that launched. It's going to be relatively soon because I'm tired of having a giant T-shirt press in my house and not using it yet. And we have stickers and all that other crap too, so don't worry. American Trent 421, thank you and good morning. The 30th anniversary, Star Wars 30th Toys R Us Y-Wing, passed in 07, bought in 2018. I bet you paid some decent money for that too. I had the Y-Wing Micro Machine toy. The Y-Wing is the good bomber. Why couldn't Paige Tico have flown a Y-Wing? We already got X-Wings and TIE Fighters. Why not milk that ship? It had ion cannons and the bombs and all that stuff. It was a cool ship, and it was partly responsible for the destruction of the Death Star. Let's not forget that. True Blue Knight, thank you very much. As a kid of the 80s, parents bought me He-Man and G.I. Joe. Had all the He-Man castles, still working, until I moved out and Dad threw them away. God damn it, that's sad. My mom thankfully never threw any of my toys out, so I still have them all. If you name a toy line that I had as a kid, I know I still have it. And all of its parts are somewhere in a box. Like we were talking about the Batman Batcave. I have the Batman Forever edition. It's in my closet. Still got all the pieces. I actually found it not too long ago and put it back together. Same with the Batman Forever Batmobile. Found all the pieces over a course of a couple of days, put it all together, cleaned it up, put it in my office. I'm going to get some new batteries for it. It'll still work. I'm saddened when people say my parents threw out my toys because I guess because of who I am, I just never threw anything out. That's why I have a really cool collection of old shit. I don't play with any of my toys. They just sit on a shelf and I walk by them and go, I remember when I got this. So I have good memories. But as long as you had the stuff and you had fun with it, I guess that's important too. But don't be too proud to go online on eBay and pick up that shit again for your collection. Because memories are a good thing to have. American Trent 421, Paige taking it from behind Gold Squadron style. Oh, God, that'd be an awesome plot twist. It came from behind. And we're done. Tanae, thank you very much. Next check, I'm going to dive into World Class Bullshitter store real quick. That and Patreon. By the way, World Class Bullshitters logo is sick. Don't change it. Oh, the GTA one? I'll keep that one around. I mean, a lot of people like it and are receptive to it. Half the guys on the poster aren't on the show anymore, which is fine. I don't think they care that they're on it. So that's not an issue. I'm going to keep that around. I got a couple new ideas for logos and designs. I'm one of those people that really likes old logos from things. Like the old WWF logo is cooler than the new one, but I like how they keep putting it on, like the WWE scratch. They'll still put it on stuff to make it time era appropriate. So I'll keep the GTA poster shirt around. I gotta get more of those posters to send out because we've gained a lot of the patrons and I gotta ship those out. But I'll keep that around. I got a couple new ideas. We shot a lot of stuff in New Orleans like picture-wise, for me to do some photo editing, but I don't mean this in a bragging way. Our channel's more than doubled since we were in New Orleans, and I've been super busy. Geeks and Gamers has a squad of guys that does a lot of the back-end stuff. I got the guys that help me on the show and the social media, but I am the only one with the know-how to make all the stuff, so I just got to sit down and do it. So, Tanae, thank you for all that you've done in the Super Chats, and thank you for considering helping out the channel that way. I appreciate it. Score Geek. Zach McGowan from Black Sail series would make a great Wolverine. He just screams "bub" while chewing on a cigar. Let me look that guy up real quick. Zach McGowan, because I do like me some Wolverine. So Zach McGowan, would you think would make a good Wolverine? He does have that caveman-like look. I could see it. He's already in the right shape for it. I'm not saying I disagree, but I think I'm so like comfortable with Hugh Jackman that I don't know, no one else would do for me. But this guy's not a bad option. It's definitely a good choice. But I do want to see Wolverine smoke more. He smoked in Origins and not Origins. He probably smoked in Origins, but when he smoked in Days of Future Past and all those other ones, first class. That's one thing. I just want to see more smoking. I want to see more Bub. I want to see more solo Wolverines in Canada dealing with the government. I really picked up a lot of Wolverine books lately, and the old stuff was so good. Let's see. Panda, thank you very much. I met Carrie Fisher at Fandom Fest in Louisville. She was a sweetheart. I asked her, is Leia a Disney princess now? And she said, God, I hope not. Panda, was that at Fandom Fest in Louisville of 2015? Because I worked that show, and Carrie Fisher was right by my table. So we may have met, and you not even realized it yet. So just, you don't have to, don't send in another super chat. Just send me an image or another thing, like tag me and let me know if that was the show you were at. Because I was there, and so was Nick. We worked together. I was selling my artwork. Nick was selling his contacts. It's funny how people occupy the same space, and they don't even realize it. And Tim Christ, I do have a GTA poster shirt. I can put it on Etsy for you guys. You know, I'll re-up my Etsy shit and get that together so you guys can get it now while the excitement is high. Kevithar1138, Jeff, thanks for Batman 89 watch party last night. My wife had never seen it. Kevithar, thank you for your super chat and thank you for spending your time with us. I know we were getting a lot of comments about Will last night, but Sills Will, he's a fan, he's a patron. He was excited to be on the show, and we just let him have at it. So if you guys are going to join our Patreon, feel free to be that excited and have a good time. The guy had something to talk about for a long time. He was a lot of fun. And make sure you guys check out all of our watch parties because I enjoy talking about specific movies, going into the details, asking questions, asking you guys the questions. I try to make it – basically my whole plan with this channel is making it to where it's like hanging out with us all the time, where we keep up the communication. Yeah, we'll talk during the movie, but we'll still have a good time and enjoy the movie. Logan Michael, thank you again. My dad had a lot of Kenner Star Wars stuff. 30 years later, all of it caught on fire in my grandpa's attic. Oh, grandparents' attic, that sucks, dude. Yeah, that's really sad. Does your dad ever think about going back and picking up like new vintage stuff to replace the collection that he lost? I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there still. I mean, it's not the same, but I'm one of those people. If you broke my Inspector Gadget and you replaced it with a new mint condition one, I'd love it as much as the original because it's just a product, and I already had my memories with Inspector Gadget, so I basically have it back and in better condition. So I'm really sorry about that. About the fire, damn. Yeah, the Kenner Star Wars stuff is iconic and really important to a lot of people before my era, but I get it. And I listen to older guys talk about it, and their face lights up, and they get all excited. And, you know, I don't feel the same way about Power of the Force 2. I did, but as an adult, I'm always just looking for the best versions of stuff. Idola Elohim Anlon, thank you very much. Started watching like a week ago. I love this channel. Well, thank you for being supportive of us during this show right now. And I hope you go back and you watch a lot of our older content. I get a lot of messages from people talking about stuff, and sometimes we've covered it, sometimes we haven't. Keep sending in your messages. But I just want you guys to know that I've been doing the show with the other guys. This is our 3rd year coming up this October. The show debuted on my birthday, which is Back to the Future Day, October 21st, 2015. So I remember that day vividly, and I remember launching the podcast and I remember doing all this stuff. And it started out slow, but now it's a wild ride and it's a lot of fun. So Idola, go back and watch some of our older stuff, a lot of the Star Wars videos. And if you guys have anything you want me to talk about that we haven't covered, you know how to contact us, email, Facebook, all that stuff. Thank you again. I hope you go back and check out a lot of stuff. Some of my suggestions would be not necessarily the older, lower numbered podcasts because we're trying to find our groove. But ever since we changed the title cards, I think we got our groove. A lot of the single videos, just the ones that have the most view counts usually are the ones that have resonated with people, and I guess people really like what I did on those days. Score Geek, thank you again. Thoughts on a proper Silver Surfer in the MCU? All for it, but I think we got to have Fantastic Four first. We got to have Galactus coming, and I want Silver Surfer to be the herald of Galactus. I think, ideally, the best bet, and I know we've talked about this and other channels have talked about it, put the Fantastic Four in the past. Post Captain America being frozen in the ice, but pre Iron Man and all that stuff. Pre Hulk, pre all those things. What you do is Iron Man's frozen in 1945 or 4, and then in the 60s this happens. And basically you can have Howard Stark be aware of Reed Richards and the government and stuff, but then they disappear from existence. And the Fantastic Four has some more out there zany ideas, and you could have a mass amnesia type of thing where people just don't remember them. They get sucked into a pocket dimension. It's like they never existed and all that shit. And then, but during that past era, that's how you explain why they're not in the new movies. But in the past era, you could have, Galactus coming to Earth and the Silver Surfer as the herald and all that shit. You don't have to have cell phones and all these other modern pieces of technology. You could make a Fantastic Four film a period piece and keep it fun and cool and have basically like The Incredibles. I don't like to keep saying make stuff like The Incredibles, but The Incredibles is the best Fantastic Four movie that's ever been made. Logan Michael, thank you again. He tried, but all of it was too expensive. At least he still has his 70s G.I. Joe and Migos. He is more of a World War II collector than a toy collector. It is expensive, Logan. Believe me, I know. I have 4 or 5 vintage figures that I just picked up for fun. They're not even in great shape, and they were kind of pricey for just being what they were. But maybe one day something big will happen for you, and you can replace your dad's collection. Maybe you won the lottery, something like that. 70s G.I. Joes and Migos. Migos are cool. That's something I'd like to hunt down. Would be a Mego Spider-Man, Mego Hulk. The entire run of Mego Star Trek figures would be a lot of fun. I like Star Trek, the original series, and I really like Mr. Spock. Something about him. He's so cool. I'd like to just own a vintage Mego Spock. World War II collector. I don't know anybody that's a World War II collector, but that's cool. Does he do guns or just uniforms or stuff like that? I know Kendo has some authentic World War II stuff. If you're ever on a show where Kendo's on, ask him because he's got a really interesting take on that. Let's see here. We're getting a lot of views. Thank you to everyone. Welcome in this morning. We were talking about the Fox-Disney merger. Comcast is out. Disney bid $71.3 billion. So we're going to see how that goes down in the future. Hopefully, the government steps in and breaks it up a little bit so we don't have another monopoly on our hands. Monopoly, what is that? And like I said earlier in the show, guys, it's not a good thing when one studio holds too much power because their influence may not always necessarily be the most pure. It could be, there could be an ideology behind it that's not good for everyone involved. Logan Michael, thank you again. Almost everything from both sides. Oh, okay, cool. Are we going to San Diego Comic-Con? Not this year. We're looking to do San Diego Comic-Con 2020. We're doing Star Wars Celebration first. That'll be our first big official world-class bullshitter / high council hangout, meet and greet opportunity. You don't have to spend money to go to Star Wars Celebration, but if you're in the Chicago area or you want to make a trip, we're going to make it worth your time. Renting out a bar, going to talk to people, going to hang out. We're going to the show. We're going to film a documentary. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. That's going to be great. But I'm really excited for the fan interaction. It's just a time to get together. So don't worry if you don't want to give Lucasfilm and Disney your money. Don't. Just come hang out with us. Truman Groves, thank you very much. Galactus in MCU and not as a giant space cloud is going to be the greatest thing since Thanos brought balance to the universe on the big screen. I remember the Galactus space cloud. I think I own Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer on Blu-ray because it was $2 and it was part of a 2-pack. So for $2, I got Daredevil and that on Blu-ray. So can you blame me? Galactus would be awesome. He's the next biggest threat. I mean, I guess you would have, the only way you could really bring him in that post or that historic setting that I brought up is the Fantastic Four and the Silver Surfer they go up to fight Galactus with the Ultimate Nullifier, and it basically wipes them into like another pocket universe or something where time ceases to exist and all this other crap. You could do something like that, but a giant Galactus, like the visuals that Kirby drew where the sky was on fire and all that stuff was epic. Imagine that on film with just this Galactus just wiping out the city, like touching it with his fingertip, it's falling apart. Depending on how big you want to make Galactus. There are times where he stands in space. There are times where he stands on planets. It just is all depending upon the story. But yeah, Galactus in the MCU is the only step up post Thanos. What is next? Galactus is next. After that, I don't know. That's why I think these movies have they've worked, but there's only so much they can do because the threat's got to be bigger. It's got to be greater. I think the reason why Age of Ultron made $100 million less. Yeah, it was because of the novelty of the Avengers wore off, but in many ways it's the same movie fighting a giant army. Infinity War is guilty of the same thing too, but the villain was much more interesting in this one. So thank you again, Truman Groves. Rhino4563, thank you and good morning. Jeff, remember the Micronauts before the comic book? They were the precursor to Star Wars figures. They were pretty cool. I just watched the Toys That Made Us documentary that talked about all those figures. So that was, remember, I'm born in 88, so I wasn't into Star Wars vintage stuff originally. Didn't do Transformers, was before my time. Micronauts, definitely before my time, but I'm aware of them. I used to read books on toy lines as a kid. I used to ride my bike to the library and read books on Star Wars and books on toys, and I'm aware of that. But the Toys That Made Us talked about them. I think Japanese toys are the coolest. Yeah, Jack Kirby is the king of comic book art for a reason. You'll never hear me say anything like how I hate Jack Kirby or disrespect him. I think his later work was bad because he was old and he needed money. He was working hard to pay for a house in California and all this other stuff. His earlier work, pre-early days Marvel, was awesome. Remember, he created Captain America, him and Joe Simon together. Stan Lee doesn't deserve cameos in Captain America films. All that good stuff came from Joe Simon and Jack Kirby. Yeah, maybe Stan Lee brought him in the Avengers or into the Avengers, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, Jack Kirby gets all the respect in the world from me. He's not my favorite artist. I think his women were ugly, and I think his 70s DC work kind of gets weird and funky, but that's what people like about it. For me personally, I think when Jack Kirby's inked by what's his face, Joe Sinnott, you get some really good artwork. Much like I really enjoy when Gil Kane was inked by John Romita Sr. I think you get some of the best looking Spider-Man artwork. And when John Romita was inked by Jim Mooney, you get the best looking Spider-Man art. Logan Michael, would you want to see a Secret Wars episode on the Toys That Made Us? Yes. I want to see a superhero episode on the Toys That Made Us. I want to see a Power Rangers episode. And if you guys want to see stuff that's like the Toys That Made Us that came before it, make sure you go watch Retro Blasting, because Michael, he put out a video on Star Trek that predates the Toys That Made Us by a couple years, and it's the same content. So Michael on Retro Blasting has his finger on the pulse. You guys need to be watching that channel if you like toys at all. Or if you just like entertainment. The dude's smart. He's funny. He's got a great take on everything. So I highly recommend him. But to answer your question in greater detail, Logan, yeah, I do want to see a Secret Wars episode on the Toys That Made Us. I think it would be interesting to see Jim Shooter back on there like he was for the Transformers episode. I'd like to hear some of the design choices, why the bodies were made the way they were, because not every toy line that existed was perfect. I would just like to hear some of the reasons, it's cost or this or that, because that Secret Wars toy episode, or that Secret Wars Spider-Man, the red and blue traditional suit, is shitty. I mean, only the webs are on the front of his costume. They didn't really make a great... I think Mego put out a die-cast Spider-Man figure in the 70s. That, to me, is like the first truly great Spider-Man figure. Let me see if I can find it for you guys real quick so you can see what I'm talking about. Because I think it'd be better if you could just see it. There we go. Here we go. Mego die-cast Spider-Man. That was quick. Thank you, YouTube. Let's see. I'll mention your tab. There we go. Now you may think, oh, this isn't that good of a toy. That's completely fine if you don't like it. I'm coming from the point though that this was one of the first Spider-Man figures that actually had like the webbing and the color in the right places, because you had some lazier ones before that. So there we go. That is the Mego Spider-Man diecast figure. And if you look at stuff like the boots and the costume, before that, they would have just been either miscolored or this or that. I think it's a cool toy. I'd love to pick one up. I don't know how much it is, but I'd get one in a heartbeat. Tanae says, first off, thank you, Tanae. When I first heard Retro Blaster, I thought he was Will Ferrell. He's funny as shit. Got to have him on here again. I do. I want to have him on here again. I can consider Michael a friend I've made through YouTube. He's a very good person. We email each other back and forth. Very positive, very fun guy. He did go through some shit because the last time he appeared on the channel, people accused him of being a racist and all this shit because of jokes other people made. Michael and I, but that hasn't changed our friendship at all. I'll definitely let him know. And you know what, guys, you can do if you want Retro Blasting back on here? All you got to do is contact him. It's real easy to find him on his YouTube page and tell him you want him to come back on World Class Bullshitters. And I'll have him, it'll be just a one-on-one discussion with the two of us. We'll talk toys. We'll talk all kinds of stuff. We'll talk about anything you guys want us to. Entertainment, movies. I think Michael was out in Hollywood for a little bit and has some interesting stories about that too. So all you have to do is tell these people you want them to come on the channel, and I will gladly welcome them back, especially Michael. One day we're going to meet up, hang out, and talk about Star Wars. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Logan Michael, first off, thank you for both your super chats. Yes, Retro Blasting is the best. I swear by him. But here's for your other one. There's going to be Hulk, Mr. Fantastic, Dazzler, Mystique, and Abomination figures, but they were sadly canceled. In terms of these Mego, not Mego Hasbro, these Mego diecast ones, they're so cool. I mean, I'm sure they're not as good as some of the stuff we had in the 90s or 2000s, but for what it was when it came out, if little kid Jeff would have had his pick, it would have been this over the Mego with the cloth costume, because I'm a stickler for detail, or as they say in Fletch, a bear for detail. And I don't like it to deviate from model. You know, back then everything was John Romita Spider-Man, and that's the perfect word to live in, John Romita Spider-Man. Eraser 11, thank you very much. How about Skrulls in the MCU? It can make for some good plot twists, like Skrull, Cap, or another character having been replaced in mid-phase 3 or 4. I love that idea. I love that idea. I know I keep saying about how the MCU is going to die with Captain Marvel and all this shit. I don't want that to happen. You guys can hear how excited I get when I talk about the MCU movies and like the experiences we have. I want this to go on for a long time while remaining entertaining. If it's bad, it's bad. I'm going to call it like it is. I would love to see the Skrulls pop up. So who's a character that's been hurt or killed or something? Oh, here we go. I know Chris Evans doesn't want to play it, but imagine Cap getting killed off in Infinity War Part 4, and you're having this emotional moment, and Iron Man's holding him and apologizing, and they make amends and all this shit, and then his chin starts to turn into that craggy shape, and he turns green, and he dies, a Skrull, and people are like, what? It wasn't Captain America? And that could set you up for the search for Captain America in the next run. That could give Chris Evans a break for like 5 years, and you could keep him around. You could do the same thing with Iron Man if you really wanted to. No, you couldn't do the same thing with Iron Man because of the technology, and I think they would know the biosignals and vitals and shit like that. But do it with a Captain America or something like that. I would love to see the Skrulls pop up, because I really was into Secret Invasion. I bought that storyline, hook, line, and sinker. I bought the whatchamacallit, about the entire series. I picked up the trade paperback. I wrote a paper on it in college and compared it to the Red Scare of the 1950s in terms of communism and all that stuff. And I got an A on that paper. It was a lot of fun. So I'm really into that storyline as a whole, and I want to see that on film. I want to definitely see that on film. So thank you for that. We got another super chat. Wow, that's a nice one. John Lookabaugh, thank you very much. What can be done publicly to shame Rotten Tomato audience scoring system into something resembling truth? Was the disconnect between the fan reaction and the fan score on The Last Jedi what doomed things? And by the way, Klaus Stork and Logan Michael, I'm going to go back and read yours. Don't worry, I didn't forget. This one just popped up, and it jumped right to the bottom, so I apologize, but don't worry, I'm not skipping yours. But John, what can be done to publicly shame Rotten Tomatoes? Here's the thing about the Rotten Tomatoes scoring system. It works against them and for them, because remember, with The Last Jedi, they're able to say, hey, it's a critical darling and you should watch this, and these critics know better than you type of deal. And that works in their favor, but then it also works against them when it's like, there's a disconnect. This movie has like a 50% discrepancy from them to us type of thing. I don't know if they'll ever want to shame that. I think what'll happen is maybe people will put more attention to the cinema score, but the cinema score is also garbage too. Maybe this will be another way to make online critics and smaller news outlets more relevant. Maybe they'll see, like, people identify with Jeremy Jahns and Chris Stuckman and stuff like that, and they trust their scores, and maybe they'll get more views that way. Or maybe you'll see Rotten Tomatoes kind of fizzle away. I don't know what they can do outside of, like, people just always calling them to task. Like, how can we trust this? Because we had the Last Jedi debacle where all those dead presidents started giving 5-star reviews to the film. I think Rotten Tomatoes is just a big marketing ploy to look back. Like, you can go back and retroactively look at a movie and say, should I watch this? Should I buy this? Oh, Rotten Tomatoes gave it this score. I think it's kind of stupid that a lot of older movies can get reviewed on Rotten Tomatoes and change their score. I distinctly remember as a kid, the Indiana Jones trilogy had 100%. I wasn't a kid, but I was younger. But Rotten Tomatoes, when you clicked on Indiana Jones trilogy, it just said 100%. Now that's changed because of cultural sensitivity and the way people look at Temple of Doom, and I don't think that's beneficial for a movie at all. In many ways, Rotten Tomatoes can hurt a movie's legacy and lineage because we got to look back on these movies with when they were made, and we don't need to always be looking like, oh, this is culturally insensitive in 2018. You know what? They had little Indian children slaves. It was messed up then, it's messed up now, but they're the bad guys of the story, and we're supposed to hate them and root for the good guy. So, sorry for that backdoor way of talking about Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. But, guys, just if you want something to be done about Rotten Tomatoes and stuff like that, just call them to task. Constantly question them. Always be vigilant. Pay attention. Give us information. We'll always, if something fishy pops up, we'll make videos about it. We'll talk about it at great length because we want to keep entertainment reviewing pure. We got to, The Last Jedi, there had to be some kind of favors or money or something given to the critics for that score and the way it divided the fan base. In many ways, it backfired because they're thinking, let's play hypothetical football for a minute. They knew it was a bad film, so they're going to make sure it gets high critic scores to get people to see it. And then it backfired and blew up in their face because people were like, well, this movie was terrible. How can these critics give it a good score? And I don't know. It causes a lot of questions. So, John, thank you again. I greatly appreciate that question. Greatly appreciate your super chat, and thank you. Claustoric, back to you. I wanted you to know I didn't forget you. When Disney takes over the world, will y'all broadcast underground? Yes, we'll broadcast from our mom's basements together. No, but I don't think Disney can take over that, but I think Google and other places don't want Disney or won't allow Disney to take over. So I think the internet will be safe for a little bit. Plus, Disney's future model is reliant upon the internet greatly. So they don't really want to ruin that because if they make it harder to access their stuff, people can go elsewhere. You can always go to a Best Buy and pick up a movie still. Logan Michaels told me Secret Wars, that's the movie you want to see. I would watch Secret Wars film. I want to see him go to space. Outside of just the Guardians. Well, we already saw him go to Titan, so I've already seen him go to space. I liked it. I loved Infinity War. Christopher Althouse, thank you. What do you think Disney's true motives are here? They seem to be trying to acquire all classic properties. Now, Fox? Well, Christopher, I think their motive is to have the biggest back catalog in history and then hide it behind a paywall called the Disney streaming service and control everything. And basically own it all. Just this big back catalog of like your everybody's favorite movies now under one roof. Disney, the future of entertainment. That's a scary future. I don't mind having to go out and pick up, Back to the Future is my favorite movie. I don't mind that the movie's not merchandised the way Disney would merchandise it. I'm okay that they haven't made a fourth one. I'm happy they haven't made a fourth one. I'm happy they haven't gone back and given us a Back to the Future special edition. All those things. Disney Lucasfilm is the way Disney runs Lucasfilm or allows them to be run is the future of all your favorite entertainment brands. Remember that, folks, because Star Wars was the biggest. and they have that much control over it, and they use it to exert all those things. So why would a lesser brand, and yeah, some brands are lesser, why would a lesser brand be treated any differently? So, you know, I'm upset on the Star Wars front as well as the Marvel front. But at least some of my other favorite movies are owned by companies that aren't going to be sold to Disney. Universal is not going to be sold to Disney. They're fine. They own Back to the Future, Fletch, all kinds of movies that I love. Same thing with Warner Brothers. They're going to be okay. We just know that that's the true motive there, is to control everything. Control, unlimited power, as Palpatine would say. And don't think for a minute that these weird ideologies in SJW politics won't be infused to shit down the road. I mean, I'm not going to say we're going to live in a world where they go back and alter, what's a movie from Fox? We're not going to take out the woman from Predator or whatever, but just don't expect to see that stuff as produced on disc, and they'll say, well, that's just because the future's in streaming. But that's also a way to, like, if you want to pick up something cheap at Best Buy on sale, well, you got to get the Disney streaming service to watch it at home now, type of deal. Basically how they do the Disney Vault. Imagine all your favorite things hidden in the Disney Vault. That's not cool. Oh, you can only get Star Wars for a limited time. What if you want to go watch it on like a Tuesday and you don't own a copy, so you go pick it up, and your internet's being a dick, so you'd rather just own it? Like, I remember when I first bought Die Hard on DVD, I was hanging out. It was a Saturday night after I got off work in high school. I was on Wikipedia reading about Die Hard. I was hungry. I went up to Best Buy, picked up Die Hard on DVD, got an Izzy sandwich, and I sat and ate corned beef and watched Die Hard. I don't want to have to sign up for the Disney streaming service and all that other crap. I know it sounds counterproductive to go out and pick up shit, but you have to go to the grocery store to buy your food. Why not just go while you're out and pick up a movie? It's not a big deal. Okay, wow, okay, we got a couple more super chats coming in. Thank you guys very, very much. Truman Groves, world-class bullshitters should start a movie review site. Screw Rotten Tomatoes. Basically, we'll be like that show, The Critic, with John Lovitz. It stinks. Or fuck this movie. That'll be us. We'll definitely do, when we launch our website, we'll have some more movie reviews and some more in-depth stuff. It's growing to a point where we can't not do stuff like that anymore. But yeah, I wouldn't mind reviewing more movies. They're a lot of fun. I can put on that critic's hat. You guys have heard me talk about or talk in my videos where I do the research and break stuff down. So you never know, Truman. Christopher Althouse. Sounds like an attempt at a monopoly to me. Where are the antitrust lawyers on this? Well, guys, remember, the thing has not gone through yet 100%. It's still in that process. They've agreed to accept the bid, but now it has to be approved. So, yes, Christopher, it does sound like a monopoly. And that's what it's going to be if it goes through. So, like I said, I'm not really pro-government. I'm not here to talk about politics to you guys. But I'm hoping that somebody in Congress or in power steps in and is like, no, this is just too much. Mupti, Pirate Bay is about to get a lot more users. You're not wrong. You're not wrong about that. Pirating is an option for a lot of people. I can never publicly advocate for it on the channel for reasons, so I won't say anything like that. But I always do say, if you love a movie and it's one of your favorite movies, make sure you go out and support it, because you'll get more of your favorite thing. So before I read the next super chat, I'm going to show you guys something. I show you guys little bits of insider information about me. I'm going to show you how I support one of my favorite movies of all time. So give me just a quick second while I pull this up, because I talk about Beverly Hills Cop, and I talk about, I love this and I love that, and I want to own this and do all that stuff. So to answer your chat about the streaming and the Pirate Bay, you guys do what you got to do. I'm not one that can tell you how to live your lives or tell you what to buy and what not to buy in terms of that kind of shit. But when I say I support something wholeheartedly and I love it, and wow, okay, this is what I mean by it. So check this out. If I ever, they say speak with your wallet and all that crap. Well, this is how Jeff of World Class Bullshitters speaks with his wallet right here. So there we go. If you love a movie and you want to pirate other stuff, I can't tell you what to do. But I love Beverly Hills Cop, and that is Beverly Hills Cop on almost every format known to man. And that's how I go against Pirate Bay, by supporting my favorite shit. But if it's stuff you don't love, you got to do your own thing. Whoopty, thank you. Logan Michael, do I have a P.O. box? Not yet. That's something that's going to happen in the future. We're going to do a P.O. box phone number for the live show like this. You guys can call and ask a couple questions. We can have a lot of fun that way. I'm all about interacting with the fans. And you know, guys, when I have a P.O. box, you can send me stuff and I'll review it. It'll be a lot of fun. Panda, Disney doing to the media what WWE did to wrestling. Thank you. I say that all the time. I know a lot of people don't like to hear me talk about wrestling because wrestling, they don't like it. And that's fine. You don't have to like wrestling. But know that this happened before. If look at the video game market. You have Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo. Sony and Microsoft are very samey, and you get a lot of the same shit. Nintendo is the different one, so at least you have some variety. I told you, like I'm telling you, variety is great. I wish Sega didn't have to go away. Sega being around would still be good for video games. That would be a nice thing for that, or for us. Alpha Terramina, thank you again. Toho is safe since they're in Japan. The mouse has no power in Godzilla's territory. I like that in other parts of the world, Disney is not the thing it is here in America. I don't like the Disney brand. It's not that I'm trying to be a rebel on air and sound cool to you guys. Disney has never been my favorite thing. I hate their fucking parks. I like Universal's parks. As a kid, you'd go to those. You'd see Back to the Future. You'd see a wider variety. Happiest Place on Earth, my ass. I don't like it. It feels fake. There's something weird and off about that. And that's how their business models run. It's a weird, fake thing. And behind the scenes, it's vicious and hardcore. So, you know, the influx of Japanese entertainment across the world over the last 20 years has been huge. I hope that Disney never tries to get in on that. I think Disney did some distribution for some Miyazaki films or something like that, but I don't know if they own them. I'm pretty sure they don't. So I don't want to see like My Neighbor Totoro and all that shit on a Disney streaming service. Keep that to Crunchyroll. Keep that to all that stuff. But thank you, Alpha Terranima. We have another super chat here from Christopher Althouse. One last thing before I have to run. I'm a fan of the Orville, which is, of course, on Fox. How do you think this will affect that show? Well, Christopher, remember that all of that stuff, the TV is being broken up. And so there's going to be the sports and the news on one thing and then that on the other. I think the Orville will be around for a little bit, but isn't there a rumor that Fox is getting rid of all their regular shows or something like that? You never know. You might see the Orville just pop up on Hulu and Hulu only. So it's a weird time. We'll find out together, though, because I've heard a lot of good things about that show. Haven't really sat down to watch it, but I'm not opposed to watching it. Yeah, I won't get Beverly Hills Cop 3. I hate that movie. I'm glad to see all that love for Axel Foley. Midnight Cherry TV, cool name. Loving these morning shows. Have I seen True Romance yet? No, I'm fucking guilty of not watching True Romance yet. But I'll get Nick to help me watch it. God, that was a long time ago. I said I need to watch that movie. I'm glad people remember. Alpha Terramina, I don't know why podcasts have audiences that hate wrestling, but we used to talk about wrestling on the show, and then people bitched hardcore. And that's one thing I don't really want my ego to get in the way about it, so I just give you guys what you want, and wrestling's not it. So it's okay. I can talk about wrestling in my own private life and have those discussions. We tried Ring Rust, a wrestling show here on World Class Bullshitters. It didn't take off. So there you have that. But don't worry. If you ever have a wrestling-related question, I will answer your wrestling-related questions. I'm not telling you that you can't talk about wrestling. I'll gladly answer. I just try not to go into long analogies because for as much as I like Star Wars, I loved wrestling that much at one point, and I could sit and talk for 12 hours about why The Rock is better than Stone Cold and Triple H. But that's not why we're all here. Logan Michael, is it bad that I don't like Jurassic Park? Logan Michael, you and I are spiritual brothers now because I don't really like Jurassic Park. I know a lot of people get upset when I say that, but let me explain why before 20 people click out and say, fuck this show. I don't dislike Jurassic Park, but I don't like it because I saw it when I was 25 years old, and its 20th anniversary, and it just didn't blow me away. Now, effects-wise, it looked great. I liked it, but I didn't really care about the story. It just didn't do it for me. And I didn't grow up liking dinosaurs. When I was a kid in the 90s, Jurassic Park was the it movie. I never saw it. I was busy playing with Power Rangers. So when people say, oh, every kid loves dinosaurs, I go, I love dinosaurs. So Jurassic Park is just not for me. I saw the second Jurassic Park, The Lost World, on video. Didn't like it. Never seen another one since that. So no, Jurassic, you're not It's not bad that you dislike Jurassic Park. I don't like Jurassic Park. But as I always say, I don't shit on people that do like it. If you have strong childhood memories tied to that film, more power to you. Jurassic Park just isn't my cup of tea, so I'm not going to... we may do a thing on the channel if enough people request it, but you're not going to hear me get into it like I do other movies. Maybe the other guys can, and that's cool. This is a group show, so... And it seems like a lot of people were saying it was okay. It was more about the special effects at the time. I love the special effects. Even today, I'm a big fan of CGI mixed with animatronics and other effects, puppetry. You can have a nice blend of special effects. I think Entertainment really jumped the gun on jumping to CGI because they saw Terminator 2 and they saw Jurassic Park, and they went for that. But I think we should have spent another 4 or 5 years perfecting practical effects the way we were in the late 80s and early 90s, because now we're going back to practical effects. And some of those older movies that rush the CGI just don't hold up. Like, I love Blade, but the CGI in that movie is fucking garbage. Spider-Man 1 actually is pretty good with that. Like, there are some shots that are CGI, but overall it looks good. Spider-Man 2, definitely a lot better. 3 had some good CGI too. Christopher Althouse, thank you again. Watch Orville season 1. It is great. All the news I've seen confirms season 2 in December. If it goes streaming only, I will happily follow it. I hope it goes to streaming, or I hope you at least get it. I know that there's a lot of shit. Like, for me, I love It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and you have to wait like years between seasons, so it's kind of annoying. I kind of wish the show would end now. But my point is, I couldn't imagine my favorite TV show just being canceled like that. And that would suck after one season. Like, all my favorite shows have multiple seasons, so I'm pretty fortunate in that regard. Tanae, thank you again very much. Said this before, but you have to read the Darth Bane trilogy, the Plagueis novels, and the Sith Handbook. I'll turn the pages for you if I have to. I mean, if you're gonna turn the pages for me, fine. Can I hire somebody to like feed me grapes or something like that while I read it? And I want to hire like a group of like a mariachi band to play me the Cantina theme, as well as other segments from the Star Wars soundtracks. No, I have a list of stuff people suggest I read and check out. I do want to, but there's a time crunch right now between doing videos and streams and all that stuff. And I love doing it, but to sit down and read a book's kind of a hard sell. But I will definitely check into that. And if you want to send me Wikipedia links or Wikipedia links to these characters, and I will read those, and that could maybe jumpstart me a little more too, because I have no excuse to not read Wikipedia in my downtime, going to the bathroom or something like that. But again, thank you, Tanae. I appreciate that. Skinned grapes. Yeah, I want skinned grapes. So WWE will be working with Disney. WWE's wet dream come true. Why does WWE want to be... Look, if Vince McMahon needs to die and they need to get some balls back in wrestling, this family-friendly entertainment crap for wrestling doesn't work. This isn't the 1980s. We're not fighting the Soviets. This is the 2018s, the enemies within. We need a really complex wrestling world landscape. Generic Edgelord, thank you and good morning. So, entertainment as we know it is over? Well, listen to the REM song, and you'll get everything you need to know from those 4 minutes, or however long the song is. But yeah, Disney owning the world of entertainment is a bad thing for everybody. Like I said, guys, look at Star Wars, look at Marvel Comics. Where is the review for the Joker blogs? Part 1 is on Patreon. I'm going to sit down to do Part 2, probably part of today and part of tomorrow, and then you're going to have that put on Patreon, and then you're going to get a double whammy Part 1 and 2 audio file on here on YouTube. It's going to just be a listener because I have to... I can't really put footage in there and stuff like that. So just get yourselves comfortable and listen to me talk about the Joker blogs in the coming week. So, Rue, just listen to the audiobook, Jeff. I will, I promise. I actually downloaded it. It's on my phone. It's a 25-hour long audiobook, so thank you. But I will listen to it. Which Spider-Man show is better to you? Spider-Man the Animated Series or Spectacular Spider-Man? Spectacular Spider-Man all day, every day. I'm not against the animated series from the 90s. Nostalgia, loved it, grew up with it. But the Spectacular Spider-Man show has better writing. It has better animation. I'm not saying the art style is better than the 90s show, but I'm saying the animation is more fluid. It's consistent. It's really a great-looking show. It's how you do high school Peter Parker compelling. And before anyone says, "Oh, you're looking at that show through nostalgia goggles," I was 20 when the show came out. I was in college. I wasn't really looking at it with nostalgia goggles. I'd wake up from, hanging out the night before, drinking and stuff, and I'd get up and watch Spider-Man because it was a good show. And then when it got moved to Nickelodeon Australia for season 2, I had to watch it on YouTube. It was kind of a hassle, but I made it happen. And I bought the Blu-rays the first day it came out. To me, that's the best Marvel cartoon ever produced. That is the Batman the Animated Series of Marvel cartoons. X-Men is a close second, and then you have other shows fall in line after that. Let's see. A couple people had some more questions. The History Channel must die. I haven't watched. Dude, I don't even have cable, so I can't watch that. A little off topic. What are your thoughts about NWA WCW promotions during the 80s and 90s? Well, Ric Flair is the man. So if I go back and watch old shit, it's a little slow, but Ric Flair is awesome. And if I could be as cool as Ric Flair minus the alcoholism and the depression, I would love to be. What are my thoughts on Warner Brothers Interactive publishing Disney games? I mean, they have to, because Disney's in-house. Here's one thing we don't talk about in general. Disney video games aren't the huge successes that people like to make them out to be. I'm not saying all of them are failures, but look at Disney Infinity or Infinity, the 3.0, the Stars ones that were being pennied out at stores. Disney put all their eggs in the wrong basket in terms of interactive stuff, so they have to go other places to do it. It would be, that's basically what they do to stay viable, and they keep picking bad partners to team up with. So Warner Brothers Interactive has had some a good history, but I don't think Disney video games really need to be a thing anymore. They always are sucky and boring, with the exception of like Disney's, what was it, the Mickey's Castle one from the Sega Genesis that got remade, and DuckTales. Oh my god, DuckTales is awesome. I'm not against the 90s Disney shows, like a Darkwing Duck game and all that crap. Cool, but I don't know, modern Disney's weird. Petition to name these shows WCB Morning Coffee. Well, I currently drink coffee while I record the show. I'm down with that. So if you guys all press F, I can name it that. Maybe I'll even put out a little shirt for that. Or a coffee mug. That'll be even more on the nose. But the only reason I don't call it that in the beginning is because we're a worldwide show now, and sometimes it's evening. Like in Australia, people are going to bed listening to us. People in the UK, it's 1:30 in the afternoon over there, so they're probably either just having lunch or they're hanging out before or after work. I don't know the work schedule over there, but I'm all for that. If you guys want me to call it that, I can call it whatever you want. Albedo, a Clone Wars 2003 Micro Series watch party. That can happen really soon, actually. We're going to give the guys a short break on Star Wars because they can't handle it. Well, Dion can, but Kendo and Nick need a little respite from Star Wars. But I'm definitely down for that. I want to do all the Star Wars movies as a watch party. Yes, including The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens, because I want to hear everyone's reactions on air. I want to get into stuff. I like the discussion, no matter how good or bad. It's fun. A 16-ounce mug. Don't worry, guys. I'm not using this as a plug for our store, but I've worked in selling, products myself. I was an illustrator. I would go across the country and sell stuff all the time. Believe me, when I'm going to start selling you guys stuff, I'm going for the best. I want, that's what I want, and that's what I want to give, because I'm putting my name essentially on it. So I'm not going to sell you guys rinky-dink crap from some shitty. We'll ship it out. We'll give you, it's going to be priced like everyone else's. We're not trying to stroke you on that and use the handmade model to make it, $45 for a t-shirt or some stupid shit like that. It would be the same price as Ethan's shirts, but we just want to do it ourselves so I can oversee it and I can put more stuff on there. I want to put, the little things on the sleeve, the stuff on the back of the neck. I want to give you guys, if you're going to take your time to buy the stuff, I want to make sure that it's worthwhile that you use it. Logan Michael, Goodfellas or Godfather? I'm going to get some controversy here, but Goodfellas all day, every day. I fucking love Goodfellas, and I love Casino. I love crime movies. That's probably something that's one thing I don't talk about publicly. Not that I'm embarrassed. I just don't really have a lot to say outside. I love those movies. I love mob movies. I love heist movies, not the Oceans because I've never seen them. But crime movies all day. I finally saw Heat for the first time, and I was just blown away. Loved Heat. Spectacular Spider-Man was run by the same guy. I think his name was Greg Weisman, So I feel like a lot of his shows were great, but they never caught on. I don't know why, but you look back and you're like, this is the best thing ever. Why is this canceled? Young Justice, too. Talk about Captain Marvel. Well, what do you want me to say about Captain Marvel? I think that Brie Larson's attitude is shit in public, and that we just need to be careful about being talked down to like that. It'd be nice if Kevin Feige and all those people at the MCU treated us like Warner Brothers did with Wonder Woman, because I had a really good feeling towards Wonder Woman. I went and I saw it. I was blown away. Not blown away. Listen to the review. I gave it a 7 out of 10. I was being fair, but I was surprised by how little the politics were infused into the movie. I liked Gal Gadot. She's really good looking. I'm sorry to sound shallow, but I look at her and I'm like, oh, she's so pretty. And so I don't really mind that she's not a very good actor. I just watched those. I watched the movie and had a good time. Now, the movie did suck after a certain point. Once we got to the end, after if you've seen the movie, cool. I don't know if this is a spoiler a year later, but like the fight scene on the at the when she goes to fight the bad guy, what's his name? Not Ramesses. Not Steppenwolf. Xerxes. No, that's from 300. The bad guy that she fights, the CGI one. That's when the movie shits the bed. I think it would have been cooler if she came to Earth, man's world, learned all this shit, and there was no villain for her to fight at the end. It would have been a much more impactful story, and it could have been used as a tale of the difference between men and women and how they deal with adversity and shit like that. It could have been more powerful, but it was fine the way it was. Idola Elohim Anlon says, is it bad I hate Final Fantasy franchises due to it being anti-religion? I mean, I used to be a fan now, but not anymore after 1313. Well, people's religious views are a tricky subject, and everyone has the right to do stuff the way they want to. So if you don't want to be a fan of Final Fantasy due to its anti-religious beliefs, more power to you. You and I do have common ground, though. I'm not a Final Fantasy fan because I don't really do the turn-based RPG stuff like that. So that's my standpoint when we're talking about Final Fantasy. But no, if you dislike it for those reasons, the best suggestion I have is just not to consume it and go give your money elsewhere. Go play. Don't even support Square Enix if that's how you feel about their stance. Go play a Mega Man game or Super Mario or something. Now remember, those games are produced by a Japanese company. They have different views, so don't let it color your views on all of the all Japanese games. But if that company's ideology pisses you off, you just go off and do your own thing and be happy. The Charming Curmudgeon. Beverly Hills Cop is one of my favorite 80s films. Well, The Charming Curmudgeon. Beverly Hills Cop is my 4th favorite film overall. A couple years ago, actually the end of 2016, but somehow I missed it. So at the beginning of 2017, I found out they released the original score. I've never jumped out of bed so fast to purchase something because I was laying in bed and I used to do a monthly Beverly Hills Cop search on Amazon. And I saw this soundtrack that I never owned. And it said it was the music from the movie. So I Googled it, and I found it was available on La La Land Records. I jumped out of bed at, 2 in the morning, and I bought it, and then I downloaded it. And then I listened to those ripped tracks, and then I had the real CD. Like, Beverly Hills Cop is the be-all, end-all for me. Star Wars, Back to the Future, Star Wars, Die Hard, then Beverly Hills Cop. I watch Beverly Hills Cop once a week, and I'm not exaggerating. I just love that movie. George Ramos, thank you for your $1 donation. I appreciate that greatly. And if you had a message, I would have gladly read it for you. Logan Michael says, movie adaptation of Secret Wars 84 or 15? 84. Fuck Secret Wars 15. If you're a fan of it, cool. More power to you. That was one of the few Marvel books that I picked up that I just stopped reading because I couldn't get where the story was. I was like, what is this? Not that I was confused. I knew they were speaking English. I just hated it with a passion. That I will never watch that movie in a heartbeat. Ever. Never. Not even a heartbeat, nothing. I'll just pass on it. That'll be the first proper MCU film. If they're adapting that, I don't want I don't want that. That was dumb. Whatever happened to Judge Reinhold? Judge Reinhold does conventions. I had an opportunity to meet him once, and I missed out. So if I go to a show, if we go to a show as World Class Bullshitters and Judge Reinhold is there, look for us in the bar because I'm going to be buying Judge Reinhold shots and asking him Beverly Hills Cop stories. Talk about the better movie remakes. Is the Thing a better movie remake, or is that an Here's my thing: something else, or is it just because it's another adaptation does it make it a remake of something that came before it? And before I get into that real quick, Tanae said, just became a patron. Hyped for that t-shirt. Thank you, Tanae. I appreciate your generosity, and you will be getting your shirt after the next cycle. So I just sent out the other shirts. Like if you're a Facebook member, you'll see that the shirts just came. You get an exclusive shirt that only is available for patrons. So you'll get that, and that'll be to you soon. But it's not going to be coming tomorrow or anything like that. I just want to let you guys know it comes at the end of the cycle. So just a heads up. But thank you again. But to your remakes question, somebody talked about Kat Dennings. I love Kat Dennings. Better remakes, Scarface, one of the best of all time. The Thing. Other remakes that I like. I don't know. Like Psycho is one of the worst remakes. I don't necessarily see the necessary things for remakes. War of the Worlds. I'm guilty of like those like end of the world apocalyptic films like Independence Day or the Day After Tomorrow. I love those types of movies, and I put War of the Worlds in that. I like those movies, and I like that War of the Worlds. Tom Cruise one, don't care. I'll watch any of them. I'm just guilty. That's like a turn off your brain. End of the world's not going to happen anytime soon type of situation. So let's just enjoy it on film. My least favorite remake, I'll tell you, is probably Star Wars: The Force Awakens. They remade the original Star Wars film, and it was really crappy. Halloween or Friday the 13th remake? Okay. Quick story about both of them. Halloween 2007, saw it in college. It was fine when I saw it. Now, the Friday the 13th remake, I have a good feeling towards, because this is like a one-time thing I've ever done, so I'm not trying to make myself sound cool, but I took 2 girls to that movie, and they were both scared, and I liked that. And I ended up dating one for a long time, so it did turn into that. But I felt kind of cool taking 2 chicks to a movie. So take with that what you will. But in terms of actual film, I hate Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 so much that it maybe colors my opinion towards the first Halloween remake. And then I've only seen that Friday the 13th remake one time, so I don't know exactly. I'll go with Halloween because I don't really like Friday the 13th movies that much. I think they're kind of mean-spirited and shitty, and they're not good. I don't know how to say that more eloquently. The RoboCop remake was shit. I disliked it. I watched it. It was there, and then it was gone. I don't know if somebody posted The Blob. The Blob, yeah, the 80s remake of The Blob, Simon Smith. I saw that for the first time last March in Florida for our yearly WrestleMania trip. I audibly cheered for that movie. That movie was fucking insane. I loved the Blob remake. Is that my top 3 remakes? The Thing, Scarface, and the Blob. Put Scarface on top. Probably. Absolutely love those. I'd have to look at a list of all kinds of remakes. But that was awesome. You were on set for most of the Lords of Salem, Chris. If you guys ever want to tell cool stories or stuff, you know how to email us, worldclassbs@mail.com. I'll read them. If you guys want to get involved and be on a video or something like that, great. I know you sign NDAs and stuff, and I'm never asking for anyone to give out information that can get them in trouble. That's not a thing I'm trying to do on the channel. But if you have a cool story that you'd love to share and you'd like a lot of people to hear it, tell me. We can make that happen. I'd love to be able to talk to you guys about that kind of stuff. The Fly remake. I like it. Not in the top 3 favorite remakes, but it's cool. Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis get a thumbs up from me. Yeah, the Blob remake, I couldn't imagine seeing that as a kid. It was so violent and fun. I really respect the effects of that movie, and it just the premise is the premise is what it is. It's thin, but it stands up from the performances and the effects and the gore and all that shit. Press F if you think that that It is a remake. The 2017 film was a remake of the 90s show, or you think like I do now. I think it's just an adaptation of Stephen King's book differently, because I love both It's. I think I prefer the new one to the old one, if we're talking about that. So that's where I am with It, but I like them both. But I'm going to watch the new one over the old one. But the old one's still fucking awesome. I can't wait till part 2. True Grit remake was pretty good. I saw that in theaters. I liked it enough. I've seen the original, like, as a kid when I didn't like Westerns, so there's that. Dawn of the Dead remake. I am guilty of liking that movie a lot. I own it on DVD, but I don't own the original on DVD. Not saying that it's better than the original, but I'm saying that Walmart had it for $5, and I was on spring break, and we watched it and got shit-faced in my friend's basement. So I do like the Dawn of the Dead remake. I like the Down with the Sickness part. I love the interaction between the guys on the roof with the signs. With that being said, though, the original one, I love the tone of that, and I like, was it Flyboy and the Ken Foree character? I liked them. I like their interaction. Didn't like the girl Galen Ross at all, the pregnant one, and I didn't like. No, Flyboy was the guy I didn't like. The helicopter pilot, didn't like them. I liked the two cops. Those two dudes were great. I love their interaction. I feel like we got more fun stuff like that in the remake, and the remake goes beyond, fast zombies versus slow zombies, consumerism versus whatever Zack Snyder is trying to say on film. So I'm glad we live in a world where they both exist. There was a reason why there were a bunch of zombie movies, and then The Walking Dead came in and ruined it all for everybody. So I think the problem with Zack Snyder films were that the scripts are garbage. I do think that is a big problem. And I think that Zack Snyder is a visual director. And when you say the words visual director, it means they only are focused on the visuals and they think they can, get away with that. Logan Michael, thank you again. Do you have the NECA Halloween figures? They now go for around $200 mint on card. I had the opportunity to buy those figures so many times as a kid, but I didn't buy them. I don't own them. I wish I did. I've kicked myself metaphorically many a times because of that, or figuratively. But, Logan, if you're still in the market for collecting Michael Myers toys, the 112 collection from Mezco has a new Michael Myers coming out. That looks fantastic. I'm going to buy it. It's the first Michael Myers figure I own because they originally released an image of it and the mask was shit. And enough people bitched, and they've gone back and they've resculpted it to look just like the William Shatner mask. So I'm one of those people, I will pay for a quality product if it meets my standards. And my standards are simple. Make it look exactly like it does on screen. I don't want artistic interpretations. I don't want the flair of the sculptor on this. I want a real version in plastic from what was on the screen. And this new Mezco one looks dead on it. So I'm going to pick that up in the fall. I'm also going to get myself a new Michael Myers mask based on the new movie because I'm not trying to fanboy out about Halloween because it's relevant again, but I love Halloween. I used to have videos on this YouTube channel of me dressed up as Michael Myers scaring girls at Halloween parties and walking up to dudes drunk and they would be freaking out in public. It was a good time. But I did not pick up those figures. I kind of wish I did. If I ever see them real cheap, I'm going to pick them up because they're great. You got Loomis, you got Michael Myers, and you got the front porch and stuff like that. It was a cool set. I really wish you'd get more stuff like that. Let's see. Jeff Wayne's War of the Worlds is my favorite. Is that the one from the 50s? Because I've seen that one. My mom's boyfriend has the model of the spaceship on top of his TV. What's up with Mega City 1? I haven't heard anything new about Mega City 1. There was some news that came out a couple months ago about it, and it's kind of fallen by the wayside. I love Judge Dredd. I read a lot of the old 2000 AD comics online. They're fun. I like that kind of stuff. I'd like that tone brought to film. Trick or Treat Studios has a good Myers mask. That's what I'm looking at. Trick or Treat Studios. I'm going to get the one based off the new film. I'm thinking I'm going to go all in on that one because I had one from Don Post from a couple years ago, and it was fun, and I wore it till it fell apart. There are pictures on Facebook of me when it's ripped up and bloody. Primarch Ferris Manus, thank you very much and good morning. Welcome back. Is it me? Like me, it seems you like the villain or side characters more than the damnable, predictable main character heroes. By the way, just watch Punisher TV show. You like? First off, I do like the Punisher TV show quite a bit. Like I've said before, it was more interesting to me when the rogue soldier, the one that had the PTSD that was doing all the crimes, when he was around. I thought his story arc could have been more interesting, but I still loved the show. It's better to me than Jessica Jones, Luke Cage. By the way, Luke Cage comes out tomorrow, which I'll be watching. If you guys want me to do a stream about it or something where we talk about Luke Cage, you let me know. We can make it happen. But Punisher series was good. Depends on the movie in terms of villains or side characters. Nowadays, as an adult, I find that I like a lot of side characters and villains. As a kid, I was all about the heroes. So much for, like, when I talk about toys, I didn't even have villains for a lot of my action figures. I had the Joker for Batman, but I had like 14 Batman figures. Power Rangers, I had every Power Ranger toy based on the Power Rangers themselves. Different scales, different articulation, all that shit. But I only had like 2 bad guys. I don't know what I was doing with the toys, but I had a ton of toys, but not many bad guys. As an adult, I do like bad guys like Die Hard. Die Hard's one of my favorite movies of all time. Hans Gruber is just as good as John McClane. Now, I don't root for him, but I like him. I think a good villain is important, especially in Star Wars. The villains of Star Wars are very interesting, or can be very interesting. Darth Vader is a very conflicted villain. And X-Men, Magneto is a conflicted, interesting villain. Because he's really not, Magneto's not necessarily the bad guy. He wants the same thing as Charles, but he's just going about it a different way. I think those are interesting. You know, like they say in Shrek, ogres have onions. Well, good characters have, ogres like onions, they have layers. Good characters have multi-layers to them. It's, you know, sometimes good or bad is different based on your point of view and perspective. But it depends on the heroes. Like when I watch a Spider-Man movie, I do want to cheer for Spider-Man. Always on James Bond's side. Batman, like in the movies, always like Batman. And then my favorite movies they're my favorite movies because I like the main characters so much. Back to the Future, I love Marty. Beverly Hills Cop, I love Axel Foley, just stuff like that. But no, I do like the side characters a lot. And I think they always make I think they build the world to make the heroes better. You guys want me to, if I do a Force Awakens and Last Jedi party, I better bring Ethan, Jesse, and Cecil. I can do something like that if we get to that. We're going to do the prequels first with the guys here on the channel. I'm all about having watch parties with the other guys, but they have schedules too, and I don't really want to interfere with their schedules and try to take up time from them doing their own channel work. So if we only get together for the High Council, it's not because we dislike each other and we only want to see each other once a week. It's just I don't want to ruin their flow of their channels. I mean, Ethan's got Cyberfrog to work on. I got a comic I'm going to do soon. Jeremy's got all his stuff. They both have families, so it all just depends on what we can work out. But they're always welcome on World Class Bullshitters, and you guys know that. There's going to be an alternate history show called Confederate, but it got severe backlash. Huh. That seems interesting. Have I seen the other Punisher films? If so, who do I think the best Punisher is, including the TV Punisher? Well, I've seen every Punisher film. My favorite Punisher and favorite Punisher piece of content is the 2004 director's cut starring Thomas Jane. Talking about alternate realities, in Jeff's alternate reality where he controls the superhero casting, the Avengers is the same, except Spider-Man is Tobey Maguire and the Punisher is played by Tom Jane, and I don't care if they're older. The characters can be older people. Tobey Maguire's aged incredibly well. I love the Punisher movie from 2004. I know it gets a lot of flack, but the thing I like about that movie is Punisher seems redeemable. Like after he kills Howard Saint and all that stuff, I feel like maybe he could, you know, get on a path to normalcy again. That's something I like. I like the hopefulness. That's why I like Batman Begins so much. That hopeful note, like, you know, there could be, you know, Batman can do this type of thing. I like it. I don't like when the hero runs away at the end of the story. I'll do you one better. Let me rank the Punisher's actors. Thomas Jane, John Bernthal, Dolph Lundgren, Ray Stevenson. Don't like the Punisher Warzone at all. I fucking hate that movie with a passion. It's mean-spirited, it's ugly, it's stupid, it's short. Fuck that movie. And Wayne Knight getting killed as Microchip was stupid too. I liked Wayne Knight. That's the best Wayne Knight role to me. And I don't watch Seinfeld, so I know people are going to say, what about Newman? Don't like that show. Don't really like Jurassic Park, so Dennis Nedry is never going to get a nod from me. If Back to the Future were made today, how do you think SJW politics will infect it? Well, I don't want them to remake it, so let's pray for a long life for Robert Zemeckis as well as Bob Gale. But I think what would be cool is if like you had to, like if guns were to all of our heads, we had to accept it, but we could control it. I think it'd be interesting if you made Marty McFly. You could do two things. You could have it where Marty McFly is like a weird SJW kid in the future, and he comes back to the 90s, and it's like, yo, things were different, and you can see how much better things were. So when he comes back to the future, he just hates his existence, or he goes back and infects them with the politics, and the future changes. I think The Karate Kid and Cobra Kai was the perfect way to blend in a classic franchise and kind of laugh at the modern sensibilities of entertainment in Hollywood without setting off any alarm bells. Because the older audience, and I don't mean like your senior citizen audience, but let's be honest, somebody that's like 40, the way the world works nowadays, 40 is not that old. Just because you were a kid in the 80s, you may, like we have a listener that just started a family, he's been married for a couple years, he's a little older. You know, that audience, that's an untapped audience because maybe it's not cool and sexy to target the 40-year-old demographic, but they have money. and a lot of disposable income. And you need to find that happy medium to appeal to young and old. We got to stop making everything Twilight, and tweens shouldn't even be a fucking audience. Give those kids the Disney Channel and the Sweet Life of Zack and Cody and all that other happy horse shit. They can watch those movies, those shows, but make stuff for people that have some money to spend on it. That's why it's laughable when people like Pablo Hidalgo rip on the Star Wars fan base, the same fan base that keeps it alive between movies and stuff like that. I mean, I know people want to say, oh, you blame the middle-aged white men, but when you find something those middle-aged white men like, no matter what, or middle-aged men, women, it doesn't matter what color or walk of life you come from. If you find something that appeals to all those people, and those people are emotionally invested, they will spend money on it. They will come back forever. And, Karate Kid, Cobra Kai kind of milked that the proper way. Let's see. Tweens can screw off. 50 is not that old. I agree. It feels like 40 is old? Well, I'm sorry about that. Don't feel too old, guys. I mean, I'm 29. People always make like old jokes. I don't feel old, but whatever. Or look old. I look my age. Great loaner. Jeff, Disney only made $1 billion off the Star Wars movies so far. I'll email you the Forbes article, but I need the WCBS email. Thanks. Well, as always, the email address is worldclassbs@mail.com, thebestmail.com. Thank you, Great Loaner. I will look into it. I'm going to take some time today to recuperate because I was up late last night and I did 3 streams yesterday, and I go to the gym in the afternoon at 2, so I got some stuff to do, and I got to see my family tonight for dinner, but I'm going to be back on the podcast tonight, and I'll look at some of that stuff tomorrow. Friday is usually a slower day for me in terms of channel work and stuff, so I'll look into that. I'll start writing articles or videos and stuff like that. But I want to check that out because, I love to make videos talking about the financials, having the articles and stuff like that. I think some of our best work comes from the stuff where you can't really dispute it in terms of like, oh, that's just your opinion. Well, here are these articles from Forbes and such. Financial documents hold a lot of weight. They kind of supersede opinion. But thank you, Great Loaner. I'll definitely check that out. Good morning to you, Lime Green Hulk. I assume you're on summer vacation from college or something, so that's why you're waking up close to 10 in the morning. And that's awesome. I wish I had that luxury. Charming Curmudgeon. My favorite tunes from Beverly Hills Cop soundtrack is the 2 tunes from Patti LaBelle. Great way to start the day listening to those tracks. So you mean New Attitude and Stir It Up. I like Stir It Up a lot. New Attitude is fine. They're both on my phone. Now, I always break it down. There are 2 Beverly Hills Cop soundtracks. There's the soundtrack score, which is the one I listen to every day. The fucking music, the Axel F variants, all the time. And then the official one. I was 10 years old when I got that as a kid in 98. That was my 10th birthday, I think. Or was it my 9th? I don't remember. I went to Media Play as a kid with my birthday money, and I bought Beverly Hills Cop on tape and the soundtrack and something else. And I listened to that a lot. Stir It Up is a good song. I really like that one quite a bit. Mr. Stark, I don't feel so old. I like how a lot of people are telling me their age. We're accepting of everyone. I don't care. You guys can, they aren't SJWs, just spin doctors. You mean like not the band, right? 2 Princes and all that shit. Victor Maitland was a good bad guy. I agree. I like Victor Maitland. He was a smarmy drug smuggler who was hiding behind the guise of art dealer. And I like that. Remember, Beverly Hills Cop is all about Axel Foley as an interesting character, but they accidentally created a good villain, a nice dynamic between him and Jenny Summers, and Rosewood and Taggart are great side characters. And Bogomil really comes into his own, especially in part 2. Not necessarily because he does a lot in part 2, but his character arc carries over. Like, I know I talk about Beverly Hills Cop a lot, but go back and watch 1 and 2 for the character development, and you'll watch the characters all grow like real people. It feels like a natural progression for everyone. You learn more about them in part 2, but the relationships stay the same, and they've grown in a logical way. Like Axel knows Bogomil's family and stuff like that. I like those type of things. I just want good character growth. Victor Maitland Ward. God damn it, Kendo. I don't want to see Victor Maitland Ward naked. Maitland Ward, maybe. Disney just wasted $71.3 billion. We'll see. Let's see if... remember, folks, we hold all the power. So if they put out some shitty X-Men movie and we don't go see it, I mean, we can make it that they've wasted the money. We can definitely have. Let's see. We're going to close this out. So, the guys, start throwing some questions at me. We got about 7 minutes left in the show. I'm not ready to say my thank yous and goodbyes yet because I feel fine. I'm not ready to close this out. Vote with our dollars. You're right. Always vote with your dollars. John Cocktoasted. Oh my God. How did I not see that name until right now? John Cocktoasted. John Levenstein. I forgot. Yeah, I love Fletch. We'll talk about Fletch in great detail soon. If you guys haven't watched Fletch, it's a comedy from 1985. It's Chevy Chase's most successful movie financially. I'm pretty sure. If we're not talking about like home video and stuff. I love it. I swear by it. Harold Faltermeyer, the guy that did the score for Beverly Hills Cop, did that music too. And it's a lot like Beverly Hills Cop, but unintentionally. Logan Michael, again, thank you very much. Do you like your generation? I'm 15 and I wish I was born in the 80s. I'm fine with my generation. I feel like a couple. You're only 15? Okay, cool. I didn't realize that. I'm fine with my generation of people. I get along with people that are older than me as well. And I don't really have any problem with like people that are younger than me, but there's like a weird group of like people that are like, I don't know, like 5 to 6 years younger than me that are in their earlier 20s that I don't know, like we don't click. I don't get it. I was born in the 80s. It was cool. Growing up in the 90s was fine. I think one thing that a lot of younger people forget too is like, if you grew up in the 90s, we had the internet and we had all these things. We didn't have smartphones, but we had the internet. And, you had cable and you could get satellite and all that shit. There was no streaming services, but you could still have access to entertainment and information and all this stuff. It was just a different way. But if I could go back in time and visit the 80s, that'd be a lot of fun. With the knowledge I have now, I'd make a lot of money in computers. So I'll be honest, if I could time travel, I would just go back in time to make as much money as possible. That's it. I wouldn't try to alter history or, infuse my politics or anything. I would just pick up a copy of Songs from the Big Chair, like a first press of that record, and I would just make a bunch of money in the 80s and listen to Everybody Wants to Rule the World. My thoughts on the 1971 film The Omega Man. I like The Omega Man. That's the Charlton Heston one, right? Because there was the Vincent Price Last Man on Earth. I don't think I've seen that one, but the Omega Man's Charlton Heston, so I like that one. Go back and steal the original Star Wars prints. Yeah, okay, Biff. Hey, Biff was corrupt and powerful and married to your mother. I don't want to be corrupt and powerful and married to anybody's mother. I just want to make a whole bunch of money, come back to the future, no pun intended, and just be really rich, be a multi-billionaire in 2018. Oh my God, that'd be fun. I would have every James Bond car ever, and I would just race up and down wherever the fuck I lived. Soylent Green is people. Yeah, it is. Let's see what else people are saying. You prefer Mega Man. Mega Man's great. Born in 98, got to experience all great TV shows, got also to be raised by the internet. Internet's fun. It was weird as a kid. I was in 8th grade and I had to write papers and you had to the internet was fun. We learned how to write research papers pretty early, thanks to Google. Lime Green Hulk, in my Force Awakens review or rewrite, I fixed the First Order by making them less powerful than the Rebellion, aka the Republic. They need that. Jeff Hicks's Pleasure Palace. I like that. I like it. I wouldn't fit in the DB4. That's why I'm going for the DB5, Obi-Wan Filoni. Remember, Sean Connery was like 6'4", so I'm 2 inches taller. I'm hoping that works out. I've seen Aston Martins in person. The 2001 Aston Martin, which is the one before the Vanquish, the one I really want, was a big car. I can definitely fit. And just for the record, I can fit in a Volkswagen Beetle just fine. So it all depends on the car. I drive a Volkswagen Jetta wagon, and I fit in that car fairly comfortably. Have I ever seen the movie A Boy and His Dog? I have not. I've seen My Dog Skip, and I've seen Old Yeller, which is about boys and their dogs, but I've never seen that film. Imperial Guard memes are the best. What do I think about the original Ghostbusters in terms of being a good mix of horror and comedy or vice versa? Well, Dungeon or Dungeon. If you'd like to hear us do a live watch, we've already done that. If you go to the Star Wars Let's Watch party and go to, I don't know, the 2-hour mark, we do watch Ghostbusters. I love Ghostbusters. The original is one of my favorite movies. Is it top 10? Probably top 10, maybe top 15. It's funny. It's not very scary. Even as a kid, I didn't find it scary. I found it It was dark, but it also had a lot of humor. I think there's a reason it has stood the test of time. Ghostbusters 2016 wasn't about disliking women in roles that previously were played by men. It's that you don't remake classic movies, and you don't do it disingenuously, or you don't do it stupidly. You just don't do it. You know, don't remake something that everybody loves. I can't get enough uh, Ghostbusters, the original, and two's fine. I don't hate it, but I don't want to watch two. Two's the one you would catch on cable. One's the one you used to have to rent from a video store if you wanted to watch it. Axel Foley versus Martin Riggs, who wins? I hate to say it, but Riggs, Axel Foley's not that much of a fighter or that much of a badass character. He talks his way out of a lot of things. He's just not a big, tough guy. Because if you watch the first Beverly Hills Cop, he talks his way out of getting killed, and then he gets captured, and Billy saves him, and then he shoots his way out of Victor Maitland's mansion, and Bogomil saves him at the end too. And then in part two, he gets captured, and Taggart saves him. So Axel Foley, in terms of a fight, I'm going with Martin Riggs all day. Who do I like more? Axel Foley every day, all day. J93, is the internet a blessing and a curse to you? This is a good way to close out the today's show. The internet is a blessing and a curse to me. And I'm not just saying that to reiterate your question. First off, it's a blessing because it gives everyone, and I do mean everyone, access to the world outside. You can buy stuff. I love the fact that I can go online and, hey, I had this toy as a kid. Here's one in the box for $10. Pick it up, got a new one. I like how I can sit here and I can reach all of you people. I mean, I've been going on for 2 hours and 15 minutes. We've reached 1,000 people. We're still going strong. And that's incredible. That is the blessing of the internet. It gives everyone a voice. And if you choose to use your voice properly, you can reach a ton of people and you can be heard. It also gives you endless access to educational content. And I know when people say, oh, educational content's lame. Don't consider educational stuff lame. This isn't the 90s with your edutainment video games. If I tell you something and you don't believe me, you can Google it. You have a smartphone in your pocket. I like smartphones too. I know they listen to us and all that shit, and I don't like that stuff. But what I do like is the fact that I'm out in public and I'm lost. I need map directions. Well, okay, Google, give me directions to here. Boom, found it. The curse is it also makes people dependent on the technology. I know, my phone's on the fritz. I'm waiting for a new one to come out so I can upgrade. I have to wait long periods of time to use my phone. It's really a big hassle. It also makes people less capable in terms of knowing things. Instead of having to study for things or remember things, they just Google it. So that's not a good thing too. The access to information is a double-edged sword, but overall, I'd say it's a good thing. And I think the entry point price for the internet and computers and stuff has really helped too, because a lot of people that traditionally would be ignorant to education and entertainment and information like this, it would be the price wall that really keeps them from. But now you can get a laptop for $200 and you can get internet for $39 a month. So you could just get anybody with any kind of job or income can afford to do these things. And I think Wi-Fi and the internet is a vital part of life in 2018. You need that to be current. You have to use it to buy certain things on the internet, to do certain things. The internet is a big way of life, and that's why I think you're always going to have a lot of companies come together because they make tons of money. The net neutrality thing, you want the internet open and equal to everybody. You have to have that because the way life has evolved around the internet, if you change that dynamic to make more money, it's going to fall apart, and either things are going to go back to the way they were before, or there's going to be a schism in people. Like, maybe they don't want people to be accessible on all levels or have access to everything. But as for now, we do have that. So the internet is a great resource. Yes, it makes people lazy. I think kids with smartphones is a terrible decision. I'm not trying to act like because I did it, it's the right way. But I think you should grow up and know a bunch of shit and learn it the right way. And then, once like a Jedi, in Star Wars, they have to train and do all this shit. And then when they're older and they're wise in the Force, they use it a certain way. Learn how to be a capable human being, study, do your shit right, but then use the internet to make life easier after you know how to do it. Because if you know how to read a book, then you can do anything. That's what my mom used to say. That's what I used to say to her. We'll close out with this last super chat question from, we got two more. George or Jorge Ramos would love to watch RoboCop 1987 with world-class bullshitters. Well, Jorge, make that happen. You can check out our Patreon thing, or we can do it on. We're going to do it on here. Just keep in contact with us. We can do RoboCop 1987. It's Dion's favorite movie, so just watch that with us. We'll definitely make that happen. Man Sam Snug, give the new Star Wars to Oats Studios. Ooh, what is Oats Studios? Let me look that up. Independent film. Oh, Neil Blomkamp. Okay. You know what? I'm cool with that. A Neil Blomkamp Star Wars movie? That would be awesome. That'd be awesome. I'm cool with that. A smaller scale Star Wars movie that looks real would be great. Let's get that human drama. Let's get that emotion. Let's get the elements that made Star Wars what it was. Yes, it was always a sprawling space epic of giant, huge proportions, but it was the story of a man and his father and redemption and all these things that humans can relate to. You got to make Star Wars relatable. That's why we stick with it for over 40 years. So, folks, it's 10 o'clock. That means it's time to put this stream to bed. So, thank you to everyone who has watched. And yes, I agree, Paul Verhoeven is the unsung hero director of the 1980s. Thank you to everyone who's watched this morning. Oh, look, Logan Michael, we got another super chat. When is the next stream and what is it about? Tonight is World Class Bullshitters episode 128. So if you're new to the channel, and we've gained 1,100 subscribers in the last 2 days. So if you're new and you're listening to this now, every Thursday night we do a podcast. It's World Class Bullshitters. That's how this channel started the way it is now. So tonight at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to have a show. It's going to be me, Kendo, Dion, and Nick. And we're going to talk about this week in entertainment. We're going to play a little game. We're going to have a lot of fun. So you don't ever want to miss World Class Bullshitters episodes. Like if you're doing other things, stop what you're doing, listen to World Class Bullshitters, do it live, get your questions in, make us laugh. We'll make you laugh. We'll have a good time. So Logan Michael, that is the answer to your question tonight at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Idola Ilahim Anlan, again, thank you very much. Sinking of Japan 2006, a disaster movie. Is that a film I should watch? I have not seen that. So thank you if that's a movie you're suggesting for me. I'll check it out when I get some free time. If not, I apologize that I didn't have time to figure out what you meant by that. Thank you, Grant Smith Bass, or Bass, for subscribing, that you love the chats and your little alien heads. So thank you for that. And like I said, folks, we'll be back later tonight. And make sure you guys all come back for that one. That's going to be a group thing. It's a lot of fun. Thanks to the thousands of people who listen to me ramble on about entertainment every day. But as long as the world of entertainment's crumbling around us, well, I got to report it. So, as I always say in closing, if you have the time today, go out and watch The Twilight Zone. Why? Because you're already currently living in it.